Great time, great place, and we are at the Full Throttle Saloon, Pappy Hoyle Campground, and the rain is back today. It has been weird because this is an area that usually at this time of year, if you remember last year's program, we were sitting up here, it was 107 degrees. It was damn near stifling, and just got people walking through, right through the camera shot. Nice. So anyway, long story short, we've got what is normally like 107 degrees, and you've got, stifling heat and humidity. It's been cool. It's been rainy. It's been weird. But that being said, it's still great. It's great to be here, and what we've had here is nothing but fun. Yesterday was a pool day. We kind of hung out. There's a lot of pictures over on the Facebook fan page. If you want to check it out, you can. Also, we had a great night down in Deadwood, South Dakota. But over the weekend, a lot of sports to pay attention to as well, and which is absolutely awesome. Although the Brewers only won one game over the weekend, that was a little bit disappointing to see. But that being said, it's been good. Packers reaction from family night. Also, a really good article by Albert Breer. We're going to talk with Mike Clemens coming up in about an hour from now about his thoughts of family night, Jordan Love's performance, and I want to get your thoughts on his performance as well coming up here in just a little bit. But an interesting family night. I've seen the comparison for everybody that sent it to me between the night of practice in Chicago versus the family night gathering via the Lambeau Field crowd. And what the difference between the two fan bases, and I 100% get it. I understand it, but I woke up today. There was just so many people that had sent it to me. So thanks to everybody that either texted it to me or emailed it to me or what have you. But yeah, I got a chance to see it, and it makes me chuckle all the time, because there's just not a lot of comparison when you talk about the fan bases of the Green Bay Packers and then insert anybody else. There are some incredibly faithful fan bases. There's a Dallas Cowboy we always talk about. Pittsburgh is a very staunch fan base. You've got a few others that have been around. Well, the Giants are staunch, but they're nowhere near as passionate in New York, and they don't show up the way Packers fans do, let's be honest. And you can go through some of the old storied franchises like Chicago, but when it comes to showing up and turning out, no, it's 100%. Green Bay Packers own it for the most part. Anyway, that being said, it is a Monday, and we got Grant Bills back in studio today. Grant, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Bill. It's just so good to hear your voice and be back.
It is, yeah. How was your vacation, by the way?
It was good, and you're right. The weather has been very unusual out there because I was probably 5 or 6 hours further west of where you are right now. And the second half of the week last week was cloudy and pretty rainy. And I've been in Montana, 4 of the last 5 years in August. And normally it's 90 and sunny every day. It was very weird.
Yeah, it's last year was 107. And when I got off the air here where I do the show, which I am up top. And if people are watching on the live stream, you can kind of see some of the shots from where I'm at. But I'm under a tin roof. And by the time we got off the air last year on the Thursday before we left, it was 121 degrees up here. Today, it is a whopping 63. So you talk about a stark difference via reality. And we got a little bit of a misty rain today. I'll tell you this. Normally, they get storms out here that come through, they're gully washers, and they're gone. And then everything dries out. Starting on Thursday of last week, it rained Thursday. It started raining again heavy on Friday, and one of those steady, heavy, which we wish we had in Wisconsin, those steady, heavy, soaking rains that last like 24 hours. It rained from Friday all the way through pretty much late into the evening on Saturday night because we have friends are with us and they have a car, so we drove down to Deadwood and hung out down there. But what it's done is a lot of the campgrounds, now here it's a little more hilly, so the water runs off, but it's turned them into mud pits. The Buffalo Chip is a mud pit. The Iron Horse is a mud pit. The Bulldog Campground, not quite as much. Right across from us, kickstands, mud pit. And it's, motorcycles are going over and campers and RVs, big, massive RVs. They can't get up the hills, so they're stuck. We saw numerous. They had to bring in front end skid loaders to pull some of these things through the mud. It was nasty. Finally, yesterday the sun came out, the winds picked up, and it started to dry it out. It dries pretty quick out here, so it started to dry it out. So, but yeah, over the weekend, man, it was tough. It was more people in cars than they were on bikes. That's for damn sure. So, Grant, what did you think? What has the reaction been back in Wisconsin via family night?
It's a lot of Bears fans and Packers fans arguing about this Jordan Love throw. And I'm sure you've seen the clip. It's the throw where he's rolling to his left and he throws sidearm around a defender to Aaron Jones. It's kind of a nice, cool play. And Bears fans are saying that it's a sack, and Packers fans are like, who cares? It's practice. Why do Bears fans care so much about Jordan Love? Why do Packers fans care so much about Justin Fields? I don't care this much about Jordan Love as much as some Bears fans care. So that's the clip, and that's what I think people are still talking about from family night on Saturday.
So we are at the pool yesterday, and there was a group of people from Wheaton, Illinois, and all Bears fans. And we're sitting there talking, and then somebody from a Texas Harley Davidson dealership who we know says, well, that guy over there is from Wisconsin and used to do Packer stuff. So before you know it, they come over and we're in this discussion, and you talk about a fan base that now, which I asked the guy at one point, I'm like, you're pounding your chest awful hard for somebody that hasn't won anything since 85. And he looked at me and went, you're right. He said, at least now we have hope. So on one hand, Packers fans are like, okay, whatever. You know, we pretty much own you for the last 30 plus years. And Bears fans, Vikings fans, Detroit Lions fans, they're all like, finally, we've got something to not necessarily crow about, but we've got they feel like maybe it's a legitimate playing field, an even playing field now because the Packers don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback under center that they maybe can get past. So, and I just kind of look at them and say, okay, if that's what you got to grab onto, that's what you have to grab onto. And, you know, if you win a couple of games here or there, much like you did early on in Rodgers' career, Favre's career, okay, so be it. We'll see where the dominance ends up over the next 15 to 20 years. But that's what they've got. They kind of, they're feeling it now because they feel as if the cloud is lifted. They are no longer going to be dominated and whipped into submission because the Packers have clearly had better quarterback play than they have. And, I mean, you go back like Vikings fans, they've had some pretty decent quarterbacks. I mean, you go back with Randall Cunningham, Dante Culpepper, you know, obviously, you know, Kirk Cousins as of late has played pretty well. They just haven't been able to win. They haven't been able to win a championship. Whereas the Packers with two Hall of Fame quarterbacks, people will make fun of the Packers and go, you guys only won two. And I ask every fan, Detroit, Minnesota, and Chicago, since 1986 and on, how many of you won? And then they all stare at you with that blank face, like you're looking at your dog with a treat in your hand, going, "Would you like a treat?" And they go, eh? And that's exactly the reaction it is because they haven't won anything. So now they've got a little, maybe, you know, muscle to flex because they feel like there's at least hope within the division that the dominating. It would be the same thing as if, you know, say Orioles became dominant and Judge goes down and their pitching staff goes down and the Red Sox, you know, have to rebuild, and they would finally say, okay, the almighty Yankees, the almighty Red Sox are no longer in our face and we're finally on top. We finally have a legitimate shot. Maybe it would be that same sense, but the Packers have been that dominant team in the NFC North for quite some time. So I completely get it. In the meantime, what the hell happened to the Brewers? Here came the Pirates. The Pirates are on the downswing, and I'm thinking, get 2 out of 3 from the Pirates, win a series, off you go. And damn, they've lost 3 straight series now. What the hell happened to the Brewers over the weekend?
So I don't know. I was pretty disconnected last week, but, you know, I'm watching scores. I was listening to, you know, Ebo and the guys in the morning, and they're losing their mind about the Brewers. They split the series against the Pirates. I get it's not ideal, but they're still in first place. Brandon Woodruff looked good yesterday. Maybe it's because I was disconnected from that debacle against the Nationals last week, but I don't know. I'm not losing my mind about the tough week that the Brewers just had. They're still in first place and they're getting healthier.
It was a 4-game series, so technically they didn't lose it, but over the weekend they win 1 out of 3, and it's like, what the hell are you talking about? God, to the Pirates. It's just frustrating because they were hitting the hell out of the baseball, and all they needed was the pitching to kind of come through for them. And they had some good outings and such, but damn, when you really need to make up some ground and you really have an opportunity staring you in the face, then again, Cincinnati didn't do a whole lot. I mean, it's not like Cincinnati was running away with things, but
Man, they lost 6 in a row, haven't they?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So at least the timing of it for you to split with what I would consider to be a lackluster team, at least the timing of it is not terrible. But these are the games you look at. Like the Brewers right now, 1.5 games up. And by the way, 1.5 games up on the Cubs. The Cubs are running. And 7-3 in their last 10. They're playing a lot of winning baseball. And the Cubs don't look now, but the Cubs are plus 75 in run differential. Plus 75. They're hitting the ball. Their pitching staff's been pretty good. Plus 75. The only team in the green in the NL Central, which makes me a little bit nervous because they're really starting to put things together. So when I look at this and I say, I never thought the Cubs would be where they're at. Kudos to the Cubs for not packing it in. They just kind of stayed the course, and it's giving us all the reality of, oh, yeah, by the way, it's a very long baseball season. Cincinnati has fallen off, losers of 6 straight. The Brewers just kind of hanging in there. But these are the games that – and Tim Allen and I, when I was at the old place, used to argue about this because everybody else would always say, it's one game. It got away, one game. It's a long season. When – you let enough of by the way, it's only one games go, and you lose 1, 2, 5, 6, 8 along the way that you shouldn't have lost, that you should have won, and suddenly you find yourself in a battle for a game and a half up. Had you won those games and played better fundamental baseball and come up with a clutch hit or done something different, you'd be sitting on top by 7 games right now. And this wouldn't even be an issue. And these are the things that really, going back to April and May, bother the hell out of me because they had a lot of those games that they just let slip through their fingers, specifically here as of late, where you just need a clutch hit. Or you go back to the game against Washington, they had a man on in every inning and only could play a couple of runs. That's the kind of stuff that starts to drive you nuts because you're thinking to yourself, man, if you can't get this done and you start peeing away these games, you're going to end up losing this division by 3-4 games, and it's the 3 or 4 games you pissed away along the way that ended up costing you the most. So you can't – every game's valuable. I keep going back to the George Karl mentality when he was here. Every possession is valuable. Every game is valuable. And these are the things that drive Brewers fans absolutely bonkers, without a doubt. Let's do this. By the way, we are going to talk to the first ever, because we do a lot of veteran stuff on this program, the first ever female commander of the VFW is going to join us here at the bottom of the hour. The guys locally from Milwaukee, they're out here. Warren and Scott and Jeremy and the guys from Mama Tried and the Flat Out Friday group, they're here doing some stuff out in Sturgis, South Dakota. We got Mike Clemens coming up in about an hour from now. Going to hear from Matt LaFleur today as well. So we got a lot coming up. Stay tuned. If you want to get a hold of the program, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can track us down at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels, at Wisco Grant for Grant Bills over on Twitter, at Wisco Grant. You can email the program, thebillmichaels at gmail.com. And you can find us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all that kind of good stuff as well. And over on YouTube, go to youtube.com. And I've got 4 or 5 different camera angles today showing you the Bear Butte out in the background. We're here at Full Throttle in the Pappy Hoyle Campground. We got some shots of over the Twisted Tea Pool, some shots from down below the check-in area. So a lot of good stuff coming up today. If you want to watch on the live stream, go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. And you can track us down there as well. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I'm coming.
Hi, Mark Tauscher.
Boy, you just never know when or where you're going to pop up. This time, it's my house.
Can I come in?
You're already standing in my living room.
Tausch, you have mosquitoes in here.
Oh, yeah. It's like an insect zoo right now at my house. Heads up. Here comes that wasp again. Incoming.
Shoo! You need Pella's 250 series of windows with exclusive hidden screens. They fit inside the actual window and protect you from nature.
Okay, now that's just brilliant. Yes, please. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin to the rescue.
You got anything to drink around here?
Yeah, just go right ahead and make yourself at home, I guess.
Ooh, root beer.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, bundle and save. Get a 250 series patio door and 8 double-hung windows with hidden screens for as low as $188 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 8/31/23.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I want to remind you, coming up on Sunday, September 3rd, speaking of the Aurora Motorcycles, we need you. Need you big time. Looking forward to the motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 3rd for Fisher House, Wisconsin. Going to start at the Harley-Davidson Museum. Going to end up at Steel Tank Brewing out in Oconomowoc. And it's brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, Water Doctors, Potawatomi Hotel Casino, and a lot of great people and volunteers that work really hard to try to put this thing on. And we've got some terrific prizes and donations for those that pre-register. So if you pre-register, you got a shot at winning packages anywhere from $600 all the way up to over a $1,200 package, taking you down to maybe see the opener in Chicago between the Bears and the Packers with an overnight stay at the Sheridan Grand Riverwalk. We have also got a great whiskey cigar basket. We've also got a weekend stay at the Four Seasons Island Resort up in Pembine, Wisconsin. So a lot of great stuff, but you can't get any of it if you don't pre-register and get yourself in. Plus, it gives you a discounted ticket or two to go to the Harley-Davidson Museum, which they're opening their doors to us. They're going to have a pancake breakfast, Bloody Mary bar, all that kind of good stuff. And then we're going to be off to the Rock Complex, the Penny Bar, Knucklehead, out to Stoll's Old 109 before we finally end up at Steel Tank Brewing in Oconomowoc for one hell of a party. And then we also do the poker hands for the poker ride, which are going to be dealt by our great friends from Potawatomi Hotel Casino. So a lot of good stuff. And if you see the QR code right now over on the screen, if you're watching on the live stream, just scan it. It'll take you right to the pre-registration. You're good to go. Otherwise, if you're listening to me and you want to get involved, facebook.com/ Big Unit Poker Run. Facebook.com/Big Unit Poker Run. And all the information, links, and all that good stuff are right there. So thanks to everybody for being a part of it. You hear some roaring motorcycles almost on cue in the background. Not a bad way to go. This is from Keith, who said, "Hey, I read the link that you put out about the Albert Breer piece regarding Jordan Love. It's incredibly interesting that they're focusing on the Philadelphia game and not what went on in the past. Do you think that they're focusing too much on the positive and hoping?" It's, and if you didn't read it already, basically what it is, and it's a really good piece. Albert Breer was in town for Sports Illustrated at camp, and they go back to a play, basically, and it's a great breakdown, but I want to give you the Cliff Notes version. A great breakdown of last year when all the quarterbacks are in a quarterback room and Matt LaFleur is going over the play calling, that there was a specific play that each quarterback will rank in their mind of what is a good play, what is something that they're confident in, to something that maybe they're not so confident in running. And when Aaron Rodgers went down, Matt LaFleur saw a particular play and said, look, this is going to work. And he called it in because he remembered that Jordan Love was not confident in running this particular play. So he called it in, and Jordan Love said, hey, look, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's run it. And it was a 17-yard pass play, but he executed it perfectly. Short of the touchdown pass to Christian Watson, this was the play that really kind of made Matt LaFleur go, wait a minute. This guy who wasn't confident in this was confident enough to say, bring it, and I'll execute it. And he did it to perfection. And that was the play that started to turn the opinion around and really make people inside that front office and Matt LaFleur and company believers that he had the talent and the ability to take over as the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. It's a very fascinating article about the mindset of Matt LaFleur, the mindset of Jordan Love, and what really then did alleviate the anxiety of the loss of, or I shouldn't say loss, but the trade of Aaron Rodgers. And going back to your question, they do mention the poor performance in Kansas City. And Matt LaFleur talks about that, knowing that Steve Spagnuolo is going to empty the farm and bring blitzes. He always brings pressure anyway, but he brought a lot of zero pressures. And it just, Matt LaFleur didn't play call very well, and Jordan Love didn't handle it very well. And what a difference a year made in then Jordan Love coming in and taking over for Rodgers, who got banged up in the fourth quarter of that game against Philadelphia, and performing the way he did. And you can look at it as one of two things. One is, okay, he didn't play well in Kansas City, and that was a defense that was specifically scheming for him. Or, and that can give you pause for concern, or you can look at it as, hey, from that game, he has progressed not only in ability but in confidence, and has really got a grasp of the offense so much better in that third year that he then became confident enough to run a play that he wasn't even confident of, that was being called by Matt LaFleur, and that opened eyes. So depending on how you want to view this and what side of optimism you want to lean on, which is fine, but you don't know yet. There's still a very vast uncertainty because Jordan Love has not won a game yet in the National Football League. So while Bears fans are very confident in Justin Fields, and Justin Fields has played his ass off and he has won football games, and you give him credit for that. To the other side of the fence, Jordan Love has not, but you can look at it as he has not won football games, but he has gained confidence from the front office and his head coach enough to say, you're ready to go. You're ready to go. 877-867-1670. And Rick, you very may well be right. Over on the live stream, he said it could be Tom Clements has made a world of difference. And that's true. That's true. Jordan Love didn't start out great on family night. Looked pretty good by the end. The kicking game looked better. with all eyes upon it. So that was a difference. Danny Etling, subsequently, right after family night, he was let go. A guy that knows and understood the system, and now you're down to Sean Clifford and Magoo, and obviously Jordan Love. And those guys are the signal callers for the Green Bay Packers now.
Saw a lot of good things about Sean Clifford, Bill.
Yep.
Did you see a lot of tweets, a lot of comments? I was like, what the hell? Really?
Sean Clifford has opened eyes in camp, and it's he has not made it any kind of a competition because it's really not. It's Jordan Love's, job. But there have been a lot of people that have looked at Sean Clifford and said, wow, this guy's pretty good, and made some really good throws, and he has done some really good things, and he gets it. He's, from what you understand with Sean Clifford, is he's been able to absorb this offense pretty quick, and which has been really impressive as well. So he has opened eyes. There's no doubt about it. I don't know how confident I am, and if say Jordan Love goes down, like Sean Clifford's going to come in and just lead them. But then again, I think if anything, Brock Purdy taught us, it's that, hey, you can be the most irrelevant person on the roster and still come in and just find your niche and be a contributor. So the Brock Purdy effect remains. And so if Sean Clifford is called upon, maybe he can come in and fill the bill for a game or two or a quarter or two. So, but he did open some eyes. He basically showed what a lot of the reporters had already been whispering, is that, hey, he's pretty good. He's better than what we anticipated, put it that way. We are expecting to join us coming up here shortly, the first female commander of the VFW, who is out here on site. They do a lot of cross promotion with us in Fisher House, Wisconsin. We're going to talk with her coming up here in just a little bit. And we're going to continue on after the top of the hour. Mike Clemens is going to join us, and we're going to get a lot of stuff from Mike. Mike is going to give us his thoughts on family night, his thoughts on Danny Etling being jettisoned, and we'll get a lot more on that, and also on the kicking game specifically to talk about, and then what some of the comments of Matt LaFleur and such after the fact. So that all coming up. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Hang in there. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. We are live out here, Sturgis, South Dakota, and just enjoying the day today. And this portion brought to you by our friends at J&L Tire and Service Center. Thanks for voting them the best tire dealer in the Watertown area, Johnson Creek area. They're on Johnson Creek. They're just north of 94. If you're a big rig driver and you need some help, they have the facilities to take care of you. And if you're out in Watertown, whether it's, a minivan that needs an oil change or you need new tires getting ready for the winter, whatever it happens to be, check out our friends at J&L Tire and Service Center, jnltire.com. That is jnltire.com. And don't forget, they are hugely philanthropic people, give back to the community in so many different ways. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
There you go.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Welcome back to the program. We are live. We are in Sturgis, South Dakota. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Cunis RV, Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealer and voted by you the best RV dealer in the area. They're the ones who brought us out here with our friends from Nexus. And you can go to cunisrv.com and cunisrv.com. If you're out here and you're within the sound of my voice and you're taking a listen to the program today and you have a setup, say a camper, RV, motorhome, tow behind, whatever it happens to be, fifth wheel, and you brought it out here from our friends at Cunis, they want a picture of it. So send it to us at thebillmichaels.com, thebillmichaels.com. Or thebillmichaels@gmail.com, and you can send us the pictures, and we would love to see your setup, and we'll show you ours coming up here tomorrow for sure. But we would love to hear from you, from our friends at Cunis RV, again, Wisconsin's fastest and best growing RV dealer in the state of Wisconsin. And joining us here now, Carol Whitmore, who is the Junior Vice Commander, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I got all that right. The Junior Vice Commander, the first female Junior Vice Commander in the VFW. And thanks for coming by. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm enjoying the rally out here and meeting a lot of wonderful people out here. Jesse James Dupree out here at Pappy Holes. He's been so kind and generous with the VFW, right. and now you also, Bill. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
So first of all, let's talk about being the first female Vice Commander.
Yes.
You know, Junior Vice Commander. I got to make sure I get all the technical terms right. I don't want to make anybody mad back at home.
Right.
But how do you rise through the ranks of the VFW, and how does this process happen?
Well, this was very unexpected for me. This was not really part of my plan or path to do this, but I felt compelled to do this because I saw a gap between how female veterans are viewed, not just in the VFW, but really across the United States. The perception is it's still a male-dominated, military, but female veterans are the fastest-growing demographic in the military, and I'm hoping to change that perception with the public that. Females are veterans also, and we need to appreciate an undervalued demographic.
So as you're sitting here talking to me before we went on the air, you filled me in that you were in the Army.
Correct.
How many years?
36.
36 years in the Army.
Yes.
So, yeah, you've earned it.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
it was my honor to serve. That again was kind of unexpected for me to stay as long as I did, but it was absolutely the correct thing for me to do. I was a nurse in the Army, and I really saw the world. My last tour was Iraq in 2010 and 11, and I'm very appreciative of living where I do,
right,
seeing the rest of the world.
I've always said when you come here, this is we brought some friends with us who had never been here before, and whether it's the motorcycles that you see, the campsites that you see, but then you look at the hills and you go to Deadwood and you go to the different cities and you're like, wow. And you start to think about the way the country was built, people crossing this terrain before the roads and the infrastructure and stuff. And then the land that it is, the defendable land that it is, it's like, wow, it's almost like you've gone back in American history,
yes,
and you absorb that while you're here.
Yes.
And hopefully everybody that's here then takes a piece of that home to them.
Yes. And this is, the perfect reason why, veterans should be appreciated, because we have this, and veterans have fought to make sure that we keep this.
So tell me a little bit about the VFW, because you guys do not only stuff like in our backyard, we do a lot of cross promotion with you, but nationally. And what right now, what is your mission call?
Mission of the VFW is absolutely to advocate for veterans who cannot do it themselves. And, we are the largest combat veteran organization in the world. We take care of veterans in so many different ways. We have a Help a Hero program that we have donated millions of dollars, unmet needs, which they have generously put jars downstairs here at the Pappy Hole campground to donate to that. We have donated over $11.5 million to veterans with unmet needs, sport clips, so that veterans can augment their college when the GI Bill doesn't provide enough for them and their families. We donate to them. We've given over $13 million to veteran families in crisis when they can't pay their rent, when they have food insecurity. We donate to those families, and we have recouped over $11 billion for veterans with their VA pension and disabilities. And that is huge. That is what we do. That is the VFW mission.
Yeah. So when you get to a place like this, are you just raising the awareness, or is there a specific mission here for that?
It's both. It is both to raise awareness, to represent, and to recruit people into the VFW, and make them aware that we're not that smoky bar down the road anymore. Right. We are out in force, to advocate for veterans. That's what we do at Capitol Hill. We make sure that the PACT Act, the Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxins, that word is out for veterans that have been exposed to Agent Orange, to the burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan, so that they get their benefits that they deserve, that they were exposed to.
Before we let you go, if there is somebody out there that wants to reach out, if they want to get a hold of you, if they want to find out more information, where do they go? They
can go to vfw.org. There's anybody can go to that website. There's a donate button at the top if they want to. They can donate without being a member. They can call. There's a number on there to call also if they want to become a member, if they're eligible. They served on foreign soil, hostile environment. They probably are eligible. There's a list of eligibility that's on that website also. Yeah. And, just go to that website, vfw.org, and you can find out a vast amount of information about what the VFW does.
Well, congratulations. You guys are doing a great job here, but congratulations to you. Now, in a couple of years, you might You'll be back in the 85th and, this anniversary, and then you'll be the head person.
Yes.
I don't want to say the head dude. So the head person.
Head dudette.
The dudette.
Yeah.
So, but great to have you up. Thanks so much for coming by. And I know, Jesse, it's near and dear to his heart. So appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Going to go ahead and take a quick break. Carol Whitmore joining us up here. We are live. We're at Pappy Hoyle Campground in the Full Throttle and enjoying ourselves. We're going to be back. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. Don't forget, Mike Clemens coming out after the top of the hour. Talk a lot about Packers family now. We got more coming up after this.
Ready. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I'm coming.
Hi, Mark Tauscher.
Boy, you just never know when or where you're going to pop up. This time, it's my house.
Can I come in?
You're already standing in my living room.
Tausch, you have mosquitoes in here.
Oh, yeah. It's like an insect zoo right now at my house. Heads up. Here comes that wasp again. Incoming.
Shoo! You need Palace 250 series of windows with exclusive hidden screens. They fit inside the actual window and protect you from nature.
Okay, now that's just brilliant. Yes, please. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin to the rescue.
You got anything to drink around here?
Yeah, just go right ahead and make yourself at home, I guess.
Ooh, root beer.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, bundle and save. Get a 250 series patio door and 8 double hung windows with hidden screens for as low as $188 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 8/31/23.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We are live. We are here at Pappy Hoyle Campground and Full Throttle Saloon, and just enjoying our time here. Here today, here tomorrow, and back at it a week from today, as Grant Bills is going to take you on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. Packers getting set to take on the Cincinnati Bengals coming up later this week, Friday night, as a matter of fact, as they're going to do some practices with Cincinnati and getting ready to head to the Queen City and start to work out. Joe Burrow is Cincinnati Bengals, by the way, as Joe Burrow has that calf strain, and he's coming back from that. But that being said, it's, the first preseason game of the year. You get kind of amped up. You start to get a final look at some of the things that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks when it comes to Packers camp. So excited about that. You get a chance to see some of the things that were maybe polished or a little unpolished on family night. Now they start to at least look more real once you're playing an opponent. So, and some of these joint practices, Matt LaFleur loves because it creates competition in camp. So, good to have all of that upcoming this week. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. One of the things we're going to talk with Mike Clemens. Mike Clemens, by the way, up in Green Bay, going to come and join us here in about 15 minutes, so stay tuned for that. But one of the thoughts is about playing time in the preseason. Pac fan just brought it up over on the live stream, as a matter of fact, the thoughts on Jordan Love possibly not playing in the preseason, and said, I think it's a massive mistake by LaFleur if he sits Love the entire preseason. I completely agree. Now, the one thing I will say, Matt LaFleur looks at these joint practices as semi-game time type conditions because these guys are getting after it on both sides of the ball. But there is something to be said for a drive or two or three getting into a rhythm. I just, and teams aren't really showing a ton, but it's just running the offense. It's getting in and out of the huddle. It's getting all of that rhythmically down, not just in a practice situation where there is no consequence as far as penalty and game time situations. So I think it's a mistake. I completely agree. If they do not play him at least a little bit, I would play him quite a bit. I'd play him at least a quarter or two against Cincinnati. I'd probably play him 3 quarters in the second game of the preseason and then maybe sit him for the last preseason game. But I think for a guy that does not have many reps in the National Football League, I think as many reps as you can get him will be of value. Now, if it turns out that he's getting killed, maybe you're not going to play Bakhtiari at all. Maybe you're not going to play some of the offensive linemen at all. You look at it in that sense and say, okay, look, he's not going to be as protected as we would like him to be. Okay, I understand that mentality, but I would disagree with not playing him at all. I would disagree with that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Want to find us? That's the way to go ahead and do so. You can also hit us up, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Want to remind you, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Master Z. Summer is not by any stretch of the imagination over. Not at all. There is still time to get out and enjoy your outdoor living space, whether it's patio furniture, if you need an umbrella, how about an outdoor bar stools, Adirondack chairs, fire pits, gas and wood, all of that, grills, grill accessories, they carry it all. You can see it today, have it tomorrow. That is our friends from Master Z's. Call them 262-746-5931, 262-746-5931. They're on Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield, and go out there and see what it's all about from our friends at Master Z's on Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. This one is from Jake, who says, I don't believe oh, no, Jake, I already got to that one. This one's from Chris, who says, Jordan Love looked okay, did not look great. For a glorified practice, you would figure he would look even better. I don't have a lot of faith in Jordan Love at this point. Do you? Look, it's not about faith. It's about just show me what you got. I mean, as far as, I don't know, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When you ask me questions like that, are you asking me to agree with you, or asking me for this modicum of, hey, man, can you tell us if you have some hope and some faith in him because we want to believe in him? And I think sometimes that's what people are looking for. And I never want to lie. I never want to disappoint. I'm of the belief right now of let's just see what he can do. Let's just see what Jordan Love can do. And let's see if he makes believe. For those that are non-believers like myself, let's see if he can make believers out of us. For those that are believers, let's see if he gives you validation. And hopefully he doesn't disappoint. As a Packers fan, you hope he doesn't disappoint. That's it. Nothing more than that. That's all I'm looking for. Scott says, Love in the preseason, certain number of plays or possessions each game. I would say if I had to, in the first preseason game against Cincinnati, you're not going against Joe Burrow. You're playing on a fairly decent turf. You can see, there's nothing, although some say you don't want to play on a turf field, you'd rather play on a grass field for, quarterbacks, but it's a decent turf. It's not a turf, say, like Detroit, where they have issues with it. They have not had a lot of issues in Cincinnati with their turf. A few series, 2-3 series at least. Get them into a rhythm a little bit. Let's see what the offense can do. Get a couple of drives, and then you've got something on tape to go back and teach with. To me, that would be the way to go. The second game, which is going to be at Lambeau, I think at that point in time, maybe he plays a full half, and then after that, if you want to sit him in the final preseason game, I'd love to see him play more. I don't think I've never lived by you got to play scared in the NFL. I'm afraid to put him out there. He could get hurt. You can get hurt in a practice. I get it. They wear red jerseys. I understand all of that. But you're going to be going in joint practices where they're coming after him anyway. And I get that those are going to be more simulated game conditions than just a regular practice, back at Lambeau or back at the Rainitsky Field. I understand that. But I think for a guy that has never had consistent snaps in the NFL, you have to take that into consideration. So we'll see how much he actually gets. 877-867-1670. Hit us up, 877-867-1670. Mike says, wow, what a difference a few months make. Can you find tape from the draft on all the talking heads and Monday morning quarterbacks stating how terrible of a pick that Goody wasted reaching on Sean Clifford? I'm glad he looks really good. Trust Goody, trust the process. That's from Mike. Mike, excuse me. I didn't have a problem with the pick. I was on yesterday on CBS Sports Radio with Jody Mack, and he was also questioning the pick and questioning Goody, saying, man, how did they not go out and find themselves a veteran? And, well, two things. One is they don't have a lot of money. There's not a lot of money to spend on a veteran backup to lead this team. Secondly, you don't want controversy. You don't want suddenly a veteran, quote, looking over the shoulder of Jordan Love. You want Jordan Love to feel comfortable in the position knowing he's the starter. Okay, it's not necessarily a rebuild year because you've got too much talent and too many veterans on this team, but you're looking for this guy to become your leader. You're giving him all the confidence. You traded away Aaron Rodgers. So you're, in essence, saying, look, we're tired of the drama. Two, this guy's ready to go. He's our guy. So in doing all of that, you don't go out and find a veteran to say, well, just in case, though, I think what they did was right. Go out and find a college backup. Then they've got Magoo, who has played. He's seen live reps going to the USFL. So it's not like he's coming in completely raw, not having seen real, we'll say, in pro or semi-pro football, so to speak. He's got a little bit of that under his belt. You're okay. I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of issues. So with them not going and getting a veteran, but like I said, they only have $16 million, and throughout the season, you're going to need to spend that money. So if you're going to bring in a veteran, even if it's for a veteran's minimum, $1 million or $2 million, that's still a chunk of money. You're not going to come in and bring a guy in and pay him $15 million to be a backup. That's not going to happen. That's not what I'm saying. But you're not going to pay a veteran $1 or $2 million to come in and sit behind Jordan Love and to look over his shoulder, especially, let's say, Jordan Love starts off slow the first couple of weeks, and suddenly people are saying, you got to put this guy in. He knows it. He can win. You've got veteran team, and suddenly you create your own controversy. You don't need to do that. And I guarantee you, that's one of the reasons that went into consideration as to why not to bring in a veteran backup. So I still think Jordan Love needs reps. But I understand them not bringing in a veteran backup. And look, hey, if Sean Clifford continues to grow, you've got a trade chip. I guess if you look at, Sean Clifford as just a viable backup, a guy that can come in, maybe he's like a Brock Purdy-esque type of quarterback that if, God forbid, anything does happen to your guy, he's not looking over his shoulder, but he can come in and fortify. And if that in part then turns into a quarterback controversy, so be it. Because you got two young guys that are being paid somewhat minimally to run your team. And if that turns into a quarterback controversy, well, then so be it, because Jordan Love's been in the system 3 years. He should be better. But beyond that, that's the reason why they didn't go out and get a veteran backup. We're going to talk with Mike Clemens coming up here in about 2 minutes, so stay tuned. We are broadcasting live. We're here at the Pappy Hoyle Campground and the Full Throttle Saloon. Full Throttle was rocking last night. Slaughter was on the stage. Coming up, you have got Counts 77, and we talked about that last week with the Danny Corkle from Counts Customs, counting cars. We're going to talk with him tomorrow. Jesse James Dupree from the band Jackal is going to be here tomorrow. This is Jesse's place, and he invites us here and takes care of us, so we thank him for that. And we are brought to you by our friends from Oncia Sound Art, Sound Art USA. SoundArtUSA.com. That is SoundArtUSA.com. You can take any picture, put it on a canvas, and they put speakers in the back of it, Bluetooth speakers, and it's amazing, amazing sound, amazing quality, and they're hidden. They're facing your wall. You can't you don't have big clumsy speakers anywhere out. You just hear it coming from somewhere within the air. Really cool pieces, whether it's a gift, something you want in your own home, something for a business to give to, say, somebody that buys a new RV, somebody that buys a new home, a new motorcycle, whatever it may be. Check out Sound Art USA. Mike Clemens joining us next on The Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, in his first start since April 7th, yesterday was the return of Brewers starting pitcher Brandon Woodruff. Woody would go 5 innings, giving up 4 hits, 2 earned runs while striking out 9, but Brewers offensively couldn't get much done, only collecting 4 hits on the day, as the Brewers would fall 4-1, splitting their series 2 apiece with the Pirates. Milwaukee currently sits 60-53 on the year, good for first place in the NL Central. Both the Cubs and the Reds are only a game and a half back. Brewers continue on at American Family Field tonight when they welcome in the Rockies for a 7:10 first pitch. To the NFL, Saturday was family night for the Green Bay Packers. Matt LaFleur talks on his quarterback Jordan Love, missing a few passes but then settling in, and the rest of the roster.
Well, first of all, I think Jordan, I'm sure the adrenaline was pumping quite a bit early on. I think he missed a couple throws early on, but I thought he settled down. I thought he ended it as good as you could have in that 2-minute situation. And then as far as those other guys are concerned, yeah, there's a lot of competition. By no means is any of the depth chart even set yet. So it's going to be, may the best man win.
Training camp picks back up today, then joint practices begin Wednesday with the Patriots.
LIUNA stands for the Laborers International Union of North America, a skilled and experienced union with the skills and safety training to be your workforce solution for the Wisconsin construction industry. LIUNA Wisconsin members build infrastructure like roads, bridges, and skyscrapers, as well as solar and wind farms and even pipelines. LIUNA has a long and storied history as they celebrate 120 years as a union. Feel the power of a career as a member of LIUNA. Learn more at liunawisconsin.org.
Wisconsin football has one more practice down at UW-Platteville for fall camp. They'll then return back to Madison to finish things out, as their first game against Buffalo at Camp Randall is less than a month away. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Good day. Welcome back. We are live. We are at Pappy Hoyle Campground. We are in Sturgis, South Dakota, the Full Throttle Saloon off in the distance, as you can see, for those of you watching. And we certainly appreciate it to everybody listening as well, all throughout the great state of Wisconsin and well beyond the borders. It is day 1 of our broadcast from here. But it is day 4 of our on-site presence here, which has been spectacular. It's been a lot of fun, and we certainly appreciate everybody taking a listen and such as well. Let's do this. We want to get into talking to our guy, Mike Clemens, who is standing by. Michael, how you doing, pal?
Good. How many bikers do they estimate came to Sturgis again this year?
They say this year is about 500,000 that are on site.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
500,000.
500,000. It's a sleepy little town of just over 7,100 people, and it grows to about 500,000. This is the largest amount that I've seen here in a while, I got to admit. So it's like the campground, they've added almost 500 campsites to it. They're all full. It's been downtown's been packed. I mean, everything's packed, but 500,000 people. And in 2 years, they expect close to 1 million people during the 85th anniversary.
That seems almost bigger than what Harley Fest draws in Milwaukee, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yep.
Crazy. We had 65,000 at family night. How's that? Not bad.
Not bad at all. And I've seen the comparison to what they do in Chicago. That's been floating around, and everybody's been sending it to me, which was like 11 people. And basically that was the grounds crew making sure the grass stayed in place. So, yeah, it's been pretty comical in that area. But what did you make of family night, Mike?
That if you looked around at the fans, I saw one grandpa wearing a Favre jersey, and his 3 kids in front of him had 9, 10, and 33 in front of them. And I saw a few 12s out there, but not many. Mm-hmm. So just in terms of the jersey watching was interesting, because I was looking at some of the backs of the people, before they got the practice going. But everybody was excited to come back. It was a beautiful night. I even talked briefly to Goodikins in the tunnel, and he was just excited, like, man, finally we get a family night in where we didn't have to worry at all about the weather. So they had great weather that way. And there's nothing better, man, than especially for a team that's got so many rookies and undrafted players that are going to make this team, to have that dress rehearsal. This is what it feels like now on a game night, and what you got to do to get through that checklist pregame, what it feels like there under the lights, what it feels like to take a Lambeau leap. A couple players got to do that, and it puts the pressure on, and it's actually easier for us to observe. I just think that even the tape for the coaches is easier for them to evaluate under the lights like that at Lambeau Field.
Mike, it's funny you mentioned the weather, because I had a friend of mine who went to the practice, and he said it was the first time, because they have season tickets, he said the first time in a long time that his family didn't have to worry about wearing rain gear. And he said, do you think that's because the black cloud has lifted? And that was kind of the sentimentality, like this, maybe the good weather's a good sign. Maybe there's kind of an omen here in some positive way that, hey, it started out a little rough for Jordan Love, just like it did, early on for Aaron Rodgers. And then all of a sudden, Jordan Love started to look good by the end of the family night practice. And, the weather was great, and they enjoyed everything, the festivities and such afterwards. And I think everybody's trying to grasp onto something positive. You know what I mean?
Bill, you know how on a game day or a family night, you're in the press box and you get a chance to see some folks from the other side of the team, let's say, right?
Right.
And there's a thing that Aaron Rodgers has said a couple of times in his interviews with, Pat McAfee and some other shows, where he's talking about his last couple of years in Green Bay. And he says, and then, of course, then I won, back-to-back COVID MVPs. And I'm like, what? So I asked somebody who was very close with him. I said, why was he saying that? Was there some writer that sort of, downplayed, his back-to-back MVPs? Like, well, he did it in empty stands and all that. And this person said, who's as close as anybody in the organization, no, he's still talking about, in 2020 when he said that he'd been immunized, and then, he tested positive and he had to sit out that week, and all the grief that he took, he's bringing that up. That's still a chip on his shoulders to how he was treated during the pandemic. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the person said, yeah, we don't miss that.
I first of all, I 100% believe that. And secondly, the attitude of all the stuff that he brings on himself that he is then called out on and takes offense to, when had he not done it, had he not said it, had he not acted in a particular way, none of it would have been an issue to begin with. So that's why it's always so mind-numbing when he says something, he gets called on it, you find out it's not true, or you find out there's some other, like the immunization thing, or like when he talked about, hey, I can't, Goody never reached out to me, but Goody's like, yes, I did. And he says, well, you got to do FaceTime. And everybody thought that was a joke. Like, well, you can't be that big of a moron. I mean, he can't stand to be called out on some of his own crap. And that's what's so amazing to me.
They're going to miss his arm this fall. They're going to miss his football IQ.
Mm-hmm.
They don't miss the rest.
Yep.
And you just walk in there and it's more functional. There's a huge challenge before this team with 8 or 9 pretty good football players and vets that left, most of them now playing for the New York Jets. And there's a lot of fresh talent out there. And you hope that they're not going to line up and make pre-snap penalties and illegal formations and offsides and 9 penalties for 100 yards by the middle of the third quarter. And Jordan Love's going to have to deal with all that and not know where the blitz is coming from. It could be ugly. It could be ugly. But for right now, they don't miss the rest of that circus. Now, here's a kid, too, that's really earning, his respect. And that's this Luke Musgrave, the tight end that they picked high in the draft. And, like second play in, family night, full, scrimmage, if you will. They're looking for him over the middle. Now, Love overthrew his first couple of passes, but Musgrave, we asked him about, he's getting this reputation for practically living at Lambeau Field, putting in long hours to go over the playbook. And here's what he said.
Yeah, especially in OTAs, I just kind of stay late because I got nothing else to do and go through either what we have the next day or maybe go 2 days in advance. So I've hit this before. I think as we get later and the playbook gets a little bit more thick, it might start to spin, but that's why I stay late. I just try to minimize that. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of that, especially at offense where you're kind of, whatever the defense does, it kind of might change you a little bit, or at least your technique. But right now it's been all right. But I'm assuming that's going to change here pretty soon.
I know, Mike, a lot of the young guys really doing a lot of the mental side of things to try to get on the same page with Jordan Love. But there seems to be this, if you want to talk about the front runner or somebody in the clubhouse already, in the clubhouse is the combination of Jordan Love and Romeo Doubs. And those two guys have really got some kind of a symbiotic thing going on right now, right?
First play from scrimmage, Bill, Saturday night, family night, live TV statewide, 65,000 fans. And it wasn't Christian Watson. You're right. They went after Romeo Doubs, sent him deep down the right sideline, and Jordan Love overthrew him. Now, Love ended up the night in a 2-minute period at the end of the night, made some nice key passes, hit Christian Watson for a touchdown. So they felt better how the game went on. I mean, later, LaFleur would say, Jordan looked a little amped up to me at the start of the practice session. But I went to Romeo Doubs, who is as straight shooter as can be. And I said, overall, how do you think Jordan Love did tonight under the lights at family night?
I mean, I thought Jordan did really good throughout this entire day. I mean, he took the shots he wanted to take. I thought today was a pretty good day for the offense. I know there's things to clean up on. This is a pretty good day for the O. Just here to keep stacking them, man.
Do you feel like you're on schedule? I mean, you're still installing a playbook, but do you feel like you guys are on schedule to be where you need to be for the opener?
Yes, sir, man. That's a great question. I mean, again, it all comes down to just taking everything day by day and not just to get so caught up behind and also ahead of the game. So,
Mike, when you talk about the quarterback and being where they're supposed to be, I thought it was interesting that after family night, Danny Etling was released, and you've got 3 quarterbacks. You've got a guy coming out of the USFL, Magoo, Sean Clifford, who was a draft choice, and then obviously Jordan Love. And I talked about a little bit of that going back to our first hour. But, the interesting thing is the juggling and the what ifs for Matt LaFleur of what if, God forbid, anything happened to Jordan Love? What if Jordan Love is not that good? What if Sean Clifford has to take reps or Magoo has to take reps? Do you adjust all of that? There's a lot of this to me, Mike, is the relationship of Goody and Matt LaFleur, and it has to be at its best. And Matt LaFleur is no more worried about the egos and such. It's just coaching. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Jordan Love has had such little experience, both in preseason and in regular season games over the last 3 years. He hasn't taken a lot of hits. He doesn't really know what it's been like for 3 years to play with week 3, week 4, week 5 with a sore rib, a sore ankle, or something like that. And so Brian Gutekunst was asked, yeah, you're right. They released Danny Etling. Was a little bit of a surprise. But, it also probably got to the point where, first of all, there's the old Packer thing. Well, we want to let him have a chance to catch on with another team. But the other thing is, you know what? Magoo is, showed us enough, and we don't want to limit snaps to these guys. We want these guys to get more snaps in practice and in the preseason games. So we asked Gutekunst, if you bring in a backup quarterback, does he have to resemble the Jordan Love style of play?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some pretty surreal things in this league since I've been in. So I don't know if that's the most, but it was definitely interesting.
That's a
I
different one. We need two.
Sorry about that, Mike. Here, I got the right one now.
No, that's a good question. Because I think there's a lot of ways you can look at it. You can try to get a bunch of similar guys that can run the exact offense that Matt wants to run. Sometimes you might have a guy that is more of a runner and that can change some things up. So. But I think for us, it's just more about, who can go out there within the offense and make plays and lead the team. And, and then also I think part of that's being supportive of, with Jordan and making sure that working relationship's really good because that's more important, I think, than people think. But yeah, no, I think to me it's about, being able to take that group of guys out there, lead them, make plays, score points, make good decisions.
So as Jordan takes this next big step, do you think back to what did you see on that tape from 2018, 2019 from Utah State, both as a player and, as a guy in your locker room here now 3 years later?
Well, certainly from the tape, you could see all the physical ability, right? His ability to throw the football, move around, make plays. And as we got to know the person better, we just kind of felt like he was the kind of guy that could lead a football team. So, certainly with the experiences being so young when he came out, we knew there was going to be a progression there. We obviously thought we had the ability, some time to do that. And I think he's really progressed. And he's, obviously he was a young man when he got here. He's still a very young man, but the maturity he's shown and grown with in our time has been impressive.
This is certainly, we keep talking about the surreal moment, Mike, when, obviously Favre comes in early 90s, takes him to a Super Bowl, then another one, has a bunch of success. And then it was a little bit of a surreal moment as Rodgers took over, but we kind of knew how good Rodgers might be just because you saw so many glimpses of it. And now after the 30 plus years of Hall of Fame quarterback play, it's a little surreal again to see another quarterback run out of the tunnel, to get the cheers and the hopes and the dreams of many Packers fans behind them. So you go back all the way from when Favre took over to go back to 2008 when you had, Favre and Rodgers and all that controversy, and now to where we are today, man. It's you talk about quite a progression of history.
Well, and you also wonder because it was Mark Murphy's first year, what lessons did the franchise learn from the Favre saga of 2008, where you've got this beloved player who says, I changed my mind, I want back in, and he flies in the weekend of family night, and they say, you're not going in the locker room. Go up and see Ted. You can go talk to McCarthy. He talked to McCarthy for 4 hours after the family night and trying to get back in. And it was this awkward moment. And so Brian Gutekunst was asked, do you remember that weekend 15 years ago? Where were you?
Yeah, I've seen some pretty surreal things in this league since I've been in. So I don't know if that's the most, but it was definitely interesting. I almost think that the training camp practices were more so intense than anything. Because when you're down on the field, you're somewhat protected, even though the crowd is what it is. But those fans were up close. As guys were walking off, and the one thing I'll say with Aaron and now Jordan going through, they were put in some situations that not their fault at all, and both of them handled it with a lot of class. And I think when your teammates see you handling these things like that, I don't think they can help but warm up to you a little bit. And I think, this particular one, I think who Jordan is as a person has been a big part of this transition.
So, Mike, when he talks about Jordan handling it, how do you feel Jordan handled it?
I think Jordan has been exemplary the last 3 years. The way he flew under the radar, the few times that we did talk to him, learning, and at the same time, I'll tell you the biggest testament to what Jordan Love has done the last 3 years is how he was received by his teammates this spring when it was clear that Rodgers was on his way to the Jets, and the immediate support that he got, and guys looking forward to it and saying, okay, let's turn the page. And I thought that this Peyton Manning visit these guys had with him coming into the camp last week, talking to Mark Murphy about some production project possible with the Packers and his Omaha Productions, they're still talking about that. Because Jordan Love was asked, what do you think is the key to being a good quarterback in the NFL? And he referred to his visit with Peyton Manning last week.
I think the biggest thing is just keep going. Never let your head down. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be losses. It's not going to be a perfect season every year. And it's finding that capability to bounce back when not everything's perfect. I think that's Peyton talked about handling adversity. He said he went, I don't know exactly what it was, like 3-13 his rookie year. And he talks about, he, had the rookie interception, stat that he holds right now. And then obviously his second year, they bounced back. We're like 13-3. So it's just find a way to bounce back and get over that hump. He talked about he had a lot of years where they had some really bad playoff losses. And the following year is when they went to the Super Bowl. And his message to all the guys is just, how do we bounce back? We're right there. How do we get over that hump? And I think that's always what it is. Just being able to come together as a team, stay unified, and be able to get over those tough points.
Let's do this. We're talking with our guy, Mike Clemens. We're going to step out, take a quick break, and come back, and we'll pick up where we left off. Mike Clemens brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, and comfortable. The Bay Family Restaurant's attached, and they've got the Fish Fry Friday. They've got the Lake Perch, the Bluegill, the Baked Cod, the Smelt as well, and a great menu, breakfast menu specifically. I was looking at some of the pictures on Facebook from the Bay Motel and the Bay Family Restaurant. Great stuff. If you want any information, go to baymotelgreenbay.com. That's baymotelgreenbay.com, only a mile from Lambeau Field. Or call them, 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441. That's the baymotelgreenbay.com, baymotelgreenbay.com. We got more with Mike Clemens coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I'm coming.
Hi, Mark Tauscher.
Boy, you just never know when or where you're going to pop up. This time, it's my house.
Can I come in?
You're already standing in my living room.
Tausch, you have mosquitoes in here.
Oh, yeah. It's like an insect zoo right now at my house. Heads up. Here comes that wasp again. Incoming.
Shoo! You need Palla's 250 series of windows with exclusive hidden screens. They fit inside the actual window and protect you from nature.
Okay, now that's just brilliant. Yes, please. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin to the rescue.
You got anything to drink around here?
Yeah, just go right ahead and make yourself at home, I guess.
Ooh, root beer.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, bundle and save. Get a 250 series patio door and 8 double hung windows with hidden screens for as low as $188 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 8/31/23.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Presenting Darrell Revis for enshrinement in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
The competition will always be you versus you. If you stay focused and fall in love with the process, you'll always come out on top. Peace and love, everyone. Thank you. God bless.
Those are the words of Darrell Revis, among others, being inducted into Football's Hall of Fame this past weekend. Welcome back to the program. We are live. If you're watching on the live stream, we are in Sturgis, South Dakota, where they've got the Full Throttle Saloon off in the distance. We are at Pappy Hoyle Campground. It is a buzz this morning, breakfast being served, and a ride just took off. And you've got Harley Davidson on site and Eagle Rider on site, VFW on site, and so many different vendors and such. Great time, very much a buzz and a feel out here. But back in Wisconsin, there's a lot of anticipation for the Green Bay Packers and for their upcoming game against Cincinnati. A good look at maybe Jordan Love. Mike Clemens joining us on the line. Mike, you tell me, how much does Jordan Love play in the preseason, in your opinion?
I think, Bill, the reason that LaFleur has scheduled these joint practices with the Bengals this week, followed by the Patriots coming here to Green Bay, is because the players who have made the team will be in the joint practices, and the players who haven't made the team yet, that's what the preseason games are for.
Yeah. I don't want to just say it's interesting. I think it's anticipation, I guess, is the best word for it, that Jordan Love gets as many reps, as many live looks as he possibly can. I mean, I personally think he should play a little bit more in preseason. But like you said, Matt LaFleur has always been a big believer. Even though Rodgers hated it, he's always been a big believer in these joint practices because you've got guys trying to make a team. You got guys trying to fight for position, and you guys trying to make a name for themselves. So it's not as if it's, just kind of touchy-feely and a lot of, big bear men dancing, so to speak. This is guys getting after it. So it becomes a better competition, a better practice, more intense for those guys, including Jordan Love. In the meantime, defensively speaking, there's a lot of anticipation for what Joe Barry's defense is going to do, how much pressure they're going to put on quarterbacks, what the secondary is going to look like, right?
Oh, yeah, and I thought it was very interesting when Jair Alexander said with all the media that, look, Joe B can call whatever he did. We didn't execute. It's like, oh, come on, man.
Right.
We know that you guys were not happy that you didn't put on Jair Alexander one-on-one with Justin Jefferson week 1 against the Vikings. that you guys thought it was a stupid game plan with this soft zone you were playing after just signing Rasul Douglas and Jair Alexander, and so that there had to be a compromise between the defensive coordinator, between the star secondary players, Jerry Gray, the secondary coach at the time, and they had to work those things out. I got a chance to talk to Jair at his locker after family night, and I said, just one question. I said, the Hall of Fame was in there today. Joe Thomas from Wisconsin, 10,000 snaps, consecutive snaps, incredible record at left tackle for the Browns. Zach Thomas, who when A.J. Hawk was drafted out of Ohio State, I said to this kid that was their first-round draft, I said, who do we look up in the NFL? I said, Zach Thomas from the Miami Dolphins. I love the way this guy carries his business and the hyperbaric chamber he's got in his house to recuperate during the week to get the oxygen. But I said to Jair, I said, Darrelle Revis, man, he there he was at the Hall of Fame. And he knows that I'm talking about what's it going to take for Jair to get there someday. And I asked him what made Darrelle Revis unique as a defensive back.
Well, first of all, Darrelle Revis had an island. He had an island. I mean, that's really what it come down to. Nobody could complete a pass on. It reminds me of the season I had in 2020. Like he had that 1 year, then he had it another year, came back and had it, 2 years later. But there's a consistent element that in which he had that island, man. Nobody couldn't complete nothing. He went up against some of the best receivers, Calvin Johnson. He went up against Dez. He went up against Randy. He went up against good receivers, man. They weren't catching it. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
And you talk about a guy like Darrelle Revis who bet on himself, Mike. He didn't mind taking a short-term contract for a lot of money. He'd do it over and over and over and over again. And he had the 1 year that he was banged up. But for the most part, that's a guy that bet on himself and won monetarily and showed that, hey, if you can stay healthy and play extremely well, you can do a lot of good things and make a lot of money, man, in the NFL.
And what I'm impressed with, Bill, is when you're paying a guy like Jair that much, and you bring up Rondé Barber and some of these other guys, he's watched the tape.
Yeah.
He's watched the tape of great ones from 20, 25 years ago. And, there's some things about the game that haven't changed. So about the defense, Devontae Wyatt, second-year man out of Georgia, late first-round pick, he's shown some great energy. He's shown some good push up there, and they need that if he's going to play nose tackle so they can get Kenny Clark on the outside and that Kenny doesn't have to take 65 double-team snaps over the middle in his 8th year in the NFL. I mean, that's the whole point of what's going on there. Tariq Carpenter, a safety candidate, came up with a deflected pass, a pick, a couple of big plays Saturday night and Friday night. He flashed. He's also been improving on special teams as well. But getting back to some of these one-on-one competitions we saw last week in practice, and it's this Josh Myers situation at center. Smart kid, again, out of Ohio State, who they thought was going to be the next Corey Linsley. But, you talk to LaFleur about why do you keep running Zach Tom in there? Because we know that Zach Tom's got great footwork, a little undersized, but, because Bakhtiari didn't play in family night, which, again, is another red flag. So it's Yosh Nijman at left tackle and Zach Tom at right tackle. We asked LaFleur, what's the deal with Josh Myers at center?
Well, first of all, Darrelle Revis.
First of all, whoever's at that spot has a heck of a challenge on a daily basis going against, especially like when Kenny's in there. I think our D-line's done a really nice job. I think TJ's upped his game. Ford's upped his game. So whoever's at that spot, it's been a challenge. Our defense is doing some nice things schematically that's presenting some problems for the offense. They've been tough to block up front, to be honest with you. And so, you can't discount that. But at the same time, it's tough to get anything going when you got guys running through A-gaps or whatever it may be. So just more consistent play, because it's obviously it's not like that all the time, but you can't have that. You can't have people in the quarterback's face. You got to make sure we're able to reach shades and whatnot, whatever run scheme we're deploying. So I just think it's just overall more consistent play.
After in mini camp, you were walking by defensive backs tackling donuts and saying every rep counts. We're always watching, every rep counts. So actually, are there times where you see a guy in an individual drill or the retention he's got in the classroom says, we need to look at this guy when we're playing team?
First of all, it's very observant of you, Mike. So great job. I really believe that. You have to maximize your time on the field. It's not like we're out there for 3 hours. We're out there for about, at the most, 2 hours. We finally have no limitations at this point in terms of, the hour and a half, hour and 45, 2 hours. Now I think it's 2.5 hours that we can be out there, or whatever it is. It's not like we ever go over that anyway. So, but I just think you have to maximize your time. You have to be intentional, very deliberate, mindful about what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish, how you're going to get that done so that you can take whatever you're doing in Indy and take it to team. And then hopefully that translates over to the game. So that's something that we're constantly harping on our guys about.
Mike, it was interesting when you talk about the Josh Myers situation, they put Zach Tom there. That would then leave Yosh Nijman to play right tackle. I know there's a concern, or at least a red flag and an eyebrow, that David Bakhtiari is not doing nearly as much. And on one hand, they say they're being conservative. On the other hand, you've been around long enough to know, is he completely okay, or is there something else there? They picked up James Empey from Tennessee off of their squad to play center as well as a backup. So it seems to me that what was probably the most solidified unit on the team might have some question marks and some shuffling going on.
Yeah, and we know in detail what Bakhtiari's gone through for 2 years with that left knee and 4 surgeries in a 2-year period, as he would put it. But the fact is, Elton Jenkins is out there playing left guard just fine, coming back from an ACL year 2, and meanwhile, Bakhtiari's still got to watch it and rest it and keep an eye on the swelling and that kinds of things. And it's like LaFleur said, it's probably going to be that way all season. So. Jake Hansen has been injured. He hasn't practiced the last couple of days. I haven't seen anybody else, to me, like Royce Newman or somebody else that's really jumped out in their performance yet. We'll be looking for that Friday night against the Bengals. Special teams, Anders Carlson getting the accuracy corrected because he was kicking wide right a lot of times in practice. He went 7 for 8 under the lights. Most of those holds were from Pat O'Donnell, the veteran. But, from 45 yards out, from 51 yards out, the only one that he missed, it looked like to me like the snap was low. So, there's a battle going on for long snapper, but that had to be a sigh of relief for Gutekunst and for LaFleur to see this Carlson kick. And by the way, when you watch him Friday night in the game, look at his point after touchdown especially, but his field goal kick, it's a chip shot. Larry Radoff, our friend who's a photographer on the sidelines, he said, watch this guy. I mean, you think of Mason and, that big step and swing the leg and the foot would finish waist high or higher. This guy's leg never goes more than, like knee high. It's just a little chip shot, whether it's from 33 or 51, which might say something about just how much power he's got behind his kick.
Mike, always great stuff. Any other shot out of this before I let you go? Anything else to pay attention to?
No, we're going to watch practice this afternoon. I don't think it'll be too rough, but I'm really looking forward to, what the Bengals are going to bring these guys. The Bengals have had some joint practices with some fights. That ought to be fun. And then between that, it's a preseason game Friday night. And a lot of trips to Skyline Chili in between.
You're killing me, man. You're absolutely killing me. Take pictures, though.
Do I need to bring back a bucket to Wisconsin?
With something to attach to my ears so I can just stick it in my face and just go from there, yes. And maybe a snorkel.
All right.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Talk to you soon. There you go. That's our own Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes. You are more than welcome. Mike Clemens joining us. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show live out here in Sturgis, South Dakota. Whole bunch more coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
to have you, and welcome back. We are live. We're in Sturgis, South Dakota, and a little bit of an overcast day. Not a hot day by any stretch of the imagination. Mid-60s to upper 60s, but that's about the extent of it today. Tomorrow it's going to get a little bit better, and then it's going to go on from there throughout the rest of the week. Wednesday, it's going to be Grand Bills on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to be over at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. They're doing some stuff with the Harley-Davidson group and Willie G, and it's going to be we've been invited to go. So we're going to head over there, and I'm looking forward to that. And actually, Grant, you know our guy, Johnny from down at WJJO?
Yeah.
I'm going to be with him on early Wednesday morning, part of their morning show.
Oh, you're getting up early, Bill. You're doing shock jock morning radio stuff.
Right?
I'll have to listen.
Yeah. We ran into him, actually, Deadwood Tobacco Company. For anybody that's been here, Deadwood Tobacco Company is in Deadwood, South Dakota, and they moved. They were in what was considered to be the old jail from years ago, and it was just a really cool, eclectic place. And they just kind of outgrew the space, and they moved into a new building up the street a little bit, and we're sitting at the bar and having a cigar, and all of a sudden his wife Christy, who works for Midwest Family Broadcasting and works with the country station out there in Madison, came over and said hello. And then sure enough, there's Johnny right behind her. And so we sat and had a beer with him and BS'd a little bit. And he's a rider, and every year he wants to make the motorcycle ride for Fisher House, but he couldn't because of Taste of Madison. But he said, hey, we want to promote it. So I'm going to do some stuff with those guys coming up on Wednesday morning, and before we head off to Deadwood to go to the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So we're going to do that. And then the rest of the week, we're just going to kind of take it easy. But on Thursday, if you're coming to Sturgis, you've got Count 77. They are playing the warm-up act, it will say, for Jackal. And Jackal's big performance out here at the Full Throttle Saloon and on the main stage coming up on Thursday night. And I get to head onto the stage again this year in front of, 15, 20,000 people and promote our motorcycle ride. So Jesse's been gracious enough to do that for years now. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So the rest of the week's going to be exciting, and then on Friday we're going to be heading back, and then we're going to pay attention to what the Packers do in Cincinnati, and then we're all going to reconvene on Monday. But you'll take us the rest of the way Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. In the meantime, the whole discussion over David Bakhtiari I find rather interesting, because we knew the plan. It was very specific from Matt LaFleur coming in. Now, Bakhtiari feels great, says he's in good shape. Mike Clemens is kind of confirmed all of that. So there is not, I don't think there's much to fear at this point as far as his ability to be able to play. They have said from the very beginning they are going to very much limit his snaps, and that they are not. I mean, he doesn't need it. He's the reigning vet on this team. He doesn't have to be out there playing. The only concern would be is if you're putting Jordan Love out there on the continuum and not having your big left tackle protect him. So that's the only issue I think that you would probably have. But beyond that, there really isn't an issue with David Bakhtiari not being on the field. It seems like people are making such an incredibly big deal out of it. But like Mike Clemens said, there is an eyebrow raise when he doesn't participate in family night. That I'll give you. Beyond that, I'm not too concerned about whether he will or will not be playing. I think David Bakhtiari is going to play. You've heard his interview from earlier this year when he called Elton Jenkins and said, hey, we are going to be the best left offensive line in football. And, get ready. I'm back. I'm ready to go. No problems this offseason. No surgeries, no inflammation, no swelling, nothing being drained off the knee. They haven't had to deal with that, at least not to our knowledge. So I know there's some discussion regarding this concern for Bakhtiari, but I really believe that at this point in time, it's a mix and match just to see who can play where and how good they can be. And Matt LaFleur has said, if you don't pay attention to it on the continuum, he has said they want to marry the best five. They want the best five to be out on the field at all times. So if that means that Zach Tom is going to play center, they're going to do that. If Josh Myers loses his job, so be it. You know, if it's Josh Nyman at right tackle and David Bakhtiari at left tackle, if Bakhtiari needs rest, then they've got Josh Nyman. I mean, it's just, I think what they're doing is they're tinkering a lot, but I think the only area of concern right now might be center. But I don't think left tackle is an area of concern. At least nothing that's been stated. And Bakhtiari has met with the media. I mean, they flat out asked him, are you okay? He's never said, I've got an issue. He's never said off mic, I've got an issue. Nothing Clemens has ever told me has made us believe that David Bakhtiari has an issue, other than the fact that he just didn't participate in family night, which is a little odd because you probably want him to run out of the tunnel and get the accolades like everybody else, and they didn't do that. Other than that, I don't think it's a major ordeal. I know we're a little bit late. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get into and by the way, some other good news regarding the Green Bay Packers. Got to get into that as well, and that'll be when we come back. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our buddy Dwayne of Dwayne's Cover It All. They are in Wausau. Whether it's boat covers, travel covers, bimini tops, upholstery, awnings for your business, we'll say gym equipment, office furniture, something in your home, whatever it may be, he does it, and he's the best at it. Hands down. Hands down. I've had him do numerous pieces for me. 715-870-2119. 715-870-2119. Again, 715-870-2119. Or to check out all the work that he does, go to Dwayne's. DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show live in Sturgis, South Dakota next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I'm coming.
Hi, Mark Tauscher.
Boy, you just never know when or where you're going to pop up. This time, it's my house.
Can I come in?
You're already standing in my living room.
Tausch, you have mosquitoes in here.
Oh, yeah. It's like an insect zoo right now at my house. Heads up. Here comes that wasp again. Incoming.
Shoo! You need Palace 250 series of windows with exclusive hidden screens. They fit inside the actual window and protect you from nature.
Okay, now that's just brilliant. Yes, please. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin to the rescue.
You got anything to drink around here?
Yeah, just go right ahead and make yourself at home, I guess.
Ooh, root beer.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, bundle and save. Get a 250 series patio door and 8 double hung windows with hidden screens for as low as $188 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 8/31/23.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Thanks to our friends at Point Brewing in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Point Brewing excellence since 1857. The lagers, awesome. Cider boys, we brought a bunch with us. First press, having that out here by the campfire the other night, and just enjoying the time here with a little bit of our Wisconsin brewed products on site. So good stuff. And thanks to our friends at Point Brewing for being a part of the program, as always. 877-867-1670 if you want to hit us up. Go ahead and give us a shout because I find it interesting, some of the questions that are being bandied about over on the live stream. Look, and Thomas says, I have no problem with 69, meaning David Bakhtiari not practicing, but not being on family night made me wonder as well. It's not like Red China would keep a secret. I 100% agree. 100% agree. I don't know why family night raises the eyebrow for not having David Bakhtiari in the field. Family night raises the eyebrow. But other than that, I don't have a problem with the every other day and him practicing and then not practicing and such. I don't have a problem with it. But that I have to admit, a little bit of eyebrow raiser when it comes to whether, why David Bakhtiari was specifically not on the field. By the way, the Stone Temple Pilots and Collective Soul is going to highlight the kickoff weekend with football returning to Lambeau Field for the regular season on Sunday, September 24th. Fans can celebrate the kickoff weekend presented by SiriusXM, Ticketmaster, Polaris, and Quick Trip. And they're going to have a free concert. Stone Temple Pilots and Collective Soul beginning 5 o'clock outside of Lambeau Field in the stadium's northwest side of the parking lot. Parking for the concert goers is free. In the west side of Lambeau Field lots, and parking is first come, first serve. And Lambeau Field Atrium, including the Packers Pro Shop, Lambeau Field Stadium Tours, and the Packers Hall of Fame, all going to be open for their regular hours. But they've got the Packers have Stone Temple Pilots and Collective Soul coming to Lambeau Field. So there's some news for you, huh? There's some news. Packers over the weekend let go of Danny Etling, and word has it that Rashawn Gary is coming back, and which is really good news when it comes to Rashawn Gary coming off of the PUP list. So that's big news as well. I got to tell you, that's surprising. That's surprising. Jeremy Fowler saying that the Packers are activating pass rusher Rashawn Gary off the PUP list today. Man, that's early. I mean, hey, I give him all the credit in the world that he's coming back, but that's a little surprising. It's absolutely awesome news, but the fact that he's back that quick, I thought Rashawn Gary would be back maybe mid-October after that knee injury. But the good news is Rashawn Gary coming back. So there you go. Big stuff. Big stuff. By the way, also, we're going to have Matt LaFleur coming up here in a little bit. And also, when Matt LaFleur spoke today, he talked a lot about having now 3 young quarterbacks. Not that Danny Etling was any kind of a veteran in the NFL, but he'd been there, done that. And he's a little bit older, had a little bit, more more experience, so to speak, just within the organization. But, Matt LaFleur, why was Danny Etling, drawing the short straw, so to speak? And they just said it came down to being the odd man out. Said Etling's experience was a great asset in his relationship with Jordan Love, but the Packers wanted to get more reps for Sean Clifford and Alex Magoo. And so he was just basically the odd man out. The bottom line is this, okay? And you can say it without saying it. Had he been better than the competition in so many ways, including just the physical capability of the quarterback position, he'd be there. But he wasn't. He's not. So he's not. And that's the very blunt aspect of it. They want to get the younger guys who they believe have more of a ceiling, more reps, and more opportunities. That's it. Going to go ahead and take a quick break, come back, 2 hours down. 2 hours, man, a fast 2 hours. Final hour of the show, we're going to talk still a lot of Packers football, a lot of Brewers baseball, but we also have the guys from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Mama Tried guys are going to be joining us from Flat Out Friday. They're going to be here as well. Stay tuned for that. A lot of me and you and I, coming up next to the Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers back in the field for practice today after getting yesterday off following family night. It's officially game week for them as they're going to open the preseason on Friday in Cincinnati. Coach Matt LaFleur laid out the plan for the week on Saturday night.
Well, Monday we're going to have a little bit of a lighter practice. I think we're scheduled for about 90 minutes, but want to get some work in on Tuesday. We'll slow it down. We'll walk through, and then it's travel to Cincinnati and go compete against a really good football team, one of the best teams in the National Football League.
The team will hold a joint practice against the Bengals on Wednesday. It's the first time they've held a joint practice away from Green Bay during training camp. They'll do so with just 3 quarterbacks on the roster. That's after they cut Danny Etling yesterday, leaves rookie Sean Clifford and USFL MVP Alex Magoo to compete to be Jordan Love's backup. Turning the Badgers, they're going to finish out their time in Platteville tonight when they practice under the lights. Yesterday's practice featured a very good day for the offense, including quarterback Tanner Mordecai. He's the unquestioned starter for Wisconsin as they install a new offensive system under offensive coordinator Phil Longo. Badgers set to open the season September 2nd against Buffalo.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
If you're interested in a rewarding career with a strong Wisconsin company, Rural Mutual Insurance is looking to add to their growing team of successful employees and agents. Apply online today at ruralmutual.com/careers.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers broke out the bats last night in a 14-1 win over Pittsburgh. The team's crew of rookies, Joey Weimer, Sal Frelick, Bryce Terang, and Andrew Monasterio combined for 9 hits, 9 RBI, and 8 runs scored. It included a 5 RBI night for Frelick. Win pushed Milwaukee back into first place in the NL Central, a half game up on Cincinnati and 2.5 up on Chicago. Going to face Pittsburgh again tonight. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
We are live. We are in Sturgis, South Dakota, Pappy Hoyle Campground to be exact, just north of the Full Throttle Saloon. And it is a buzz, as you can see if you're watching on the live stream. If you want to watch and listen at the same time, you can. Simply go to youtube.com, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. Subscribe absolutely free. 100% free. And you can listen to us. You can watch the program, whether it's in studio, on site, at a place like this where we have numerous camera angles to kind of, show you a couple of different vantage points. And it's just good to be here. It's a lot of fun. If you're looking now, you're looking off to the east. And really off into the distance there is the big Twisted Tea Olympic-sized pool, which was busy yesterday. I will say this, and it was pretty hot. This, for those that go to Arizona, say for Brewers spring training, this is what they call a high sun. It is a very open, very high sky, and it is a bright, hot sun. Even though yesterday's high temperature was only supposed to be 75, it felt like it was 90. And so we went over by the pool for a little bit, kind of letting the campground dry out. Didn't want to take the motorcycles out because it was just a mud hole a couple of days ago. So we did a little work around the place and, shook a few hands and hung out here with some people yesterday. And we went to the pool. And one of the comments made was they thought they filled the pool with mountain glacial water. It was cold. I mean, cold. Like if you jumped in it, you wouldn't see body parts until next spring. It's that kind of cold. It was cold. But it was refreshing. It reminded me of the days back when you used to jump into the cold tub to get the swelling down off of your aches and pains and knees and joints and elbows and that kind of stuff. But man, it was cold. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Today's a cooler day. Tomorrow it's going to start heating up, and by the end of the week, it's going to be the upper 80s to low 90s yet again, and more normal temperatures out here in South Dakota. But good stuff and a lot of fun. Really, a lot of fun. A lot of really, really, really good people as well. So I want to open this up. Phone lines are wide open, 877-867-1670. If you want to get a hold of us that way, you can. If you want to shoot me something over on Twitter, you can, @Bill_Michaels, @Bill_Michaels. Grant Bill's producing the program, @Wisco Grant, over on Twitter as well. You can email us, thebillmichaels@gmail.com, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can always listen to the program after the fact, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts as well, where you find your podcast. I want to open it up because I want to know, first of all, I want to get your reaction coming out of family night. We talked to Mike Clemens today about the center position, about Jordan Love, kind of him growing up, the maturity. Albert Breer, an incredibly interesting conversation and piece in Sports Illustrated that I'm going to give you some of that information coming out of it here in just a moment. So, and the growth of Jordan Love from then and now, we'll say, and confidence level, if you want to call it that, in this team going into this season. So I think there's a lot to kind of absorb right now. And part of it is because it's just such a vast unknown in so many different categories. Vast unknown out of quarterback play, vast unknown out of maybe new or different looking offensive play calling. There could be an unknown when it comes to what we thought was a very solidified group in the offensive line. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's not as solidified as we thought. You've got some unknowns when it comes to the secondary. You've got today the announcement that Rashawn Gary's coming back off the PUP list, which is tremendous news for the Packers. But I'm a little surprised. And remember the Packers, their medical staff is always guarded to the side of caution when it comes to bringing guys back early and or too early. And instead, Rashawn Gary's being activated, ready to go, which is tremendous news. Not something that was not expected. We were thinking it was going to be Engabari and Van Ness, who were going to be the two guys kind of filling a bill until Rashawn Gary got back, maybe by the end of October. And instead, here he is. He's going to come out of that tunnel. So I find that very good news. A lot of things trending in a very interesting direction for the Green Bay Packers. So anyway, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free. Steve says, hey, good day, Bill. A couple of my takeaways from family night. One, I really like the two rookie tight ends, Musgrave and Kraft. Both had a really good practice. The speed that they have, very refreshing. He said, number two, I thought that a nervous start for Jordan Love settled and became just fine. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people this fall. 3, Devontae Wyatt flashed some speed and penetration, and if he improves his consistency, they've got a really good defensive line. 4, A.J. Dillon seems to have a sense of urgency, and I thought he played extremely well. Again, let's hope for consistency. Josh Myers has to be in jeopardy of losing the number one center spot. He seems to struggle right now. Daniel Whelan seems to have a big leg. Will he oust Pat O'Donnell. Daniel Whelan has a booming leg. You wonder what the net is for flipping the field versus the stability of being a holder for, you know what I mean? The stability of being a holder for your kicker and keeping that process, how do I put it? Minimizing the possibility for errors, we'll say. You wonder how that's going to be. Then you've also got, he said it was good seeing Jordan Love under center as much as he was. In my opinion, they have more options when their quarterback is under center. This week should be interesting in Cincinnati. Enjoy the time in Sturgis. And that's our guy, Steve, listening to us in Richfield. When it comes to the offensive line, which seems to all of a sudden be an issue, I find that was the most stable group coming in, with Josh Myers at center. And I remember when David Bakhtiari, and I did find it a little interesting that David Bakhtiari said that Elton Jenkins and him were going to be the best left side of offensive line in football. And he really didn't kind of carry it any further than that, which you kind of went, well, because they're a pretty solid offensive line. They're veteran. They've been there, done that. The only position you thought might have been up for grabs might have been that right tackle position. And instead now, you could be center. John Runyon's solid over at the right guard position, but could it be right tackle and center up for grabs at this point? Where will Zach Tom fit in best? And then what supplements after that? So I find all of that incredibly, I want to say eye-opening, because I appreciate the fact that Matt LaFleur is saying, you know what, we're going to put our best five out there, regardless of who's been there, done that. It's our best five, and that's it. So I'm really interested to see how this kind of goes. And I think now, instead of all eyes being strictly on Jordan Love for the preseason, there's going to be a few position battles to watch now. Going back to the Albert Breer piece coming out of Sports Illustrated, it's in it started out by saying at the end of every week in fall, Matt LaFleur has his quarterbacks, not just the starter, but all of them, go through the offensive plays in a game plan, and then it ranks them. He said it's an exercise done chiefly to make sure he, as a play caller, is aware of what his quarterbacks are comfortable with and what they're not comfortable with. And so came a big moment for Jordan Love. It was when he was backing up the Sunday night showdown in Philadelphia last year. Aaron Rodgers ends up a little bit nicked up the first possession of the fourth quarter. Now, Green Bay was down 37-23. And on his fourth snap, Jordan Love found rookie Christian Watson on that slant over the middle for the 63-yard catch and run. And it cut the lead to 37-30. Philly then responded with a field goal to make it 40-30, as we all know. But while the Eagles were driving, it stuck with LaFleur that he had a call that perfectly fit what he thought, as far as exploitation goes, the loose quarters and the coverage Philly had been running. The problem, it ranked really low on Love's confidence list. And it was on, LaFleur list. LaFleur recalls it. It said, do not call if I go in this territory for Jordan Love. And LaFleur said that he kept seeing that and could see that there was this exploitation capability out of the corners. And he thought, I can do this. So after Love started the next series with a 15-yard throw to Watson, and it was a first down completion, the coach kind of said into the headset, excuse me, hey, do you trust me? Can I call this? Love responds, yeah, let it eat. It was a high-low concept. It worked as LaFleur thought it would. An underneath receiver ran a pivot route. The defender was in conflict with Lazard. Love delivered a perfect strike to Lazard, 17-yard gain. From there, the Packers kicked a field goal, and the onside kick got the ball back, but failed. They kicked the onside kick to try to get the ball back, but it failed, and then they lost by a touchdown, 40-33, as we all know. But that particular play in that moment was one of the plays that Jordan Love said, I don't have much confidence in. And what happened was Matt LaFleur knew it. He said, we can get this. And Jordan Love said, yeah, I don't have confidence in it, but let's do this. I think I can do this. And he took it and he ran with it and he delivered a perfect strike. And the play worked flawlessly. It was at that moment in time. But that game, that moment, would reverberate at Lambeau Field well past Thanksgiving. In fact, January and February, when Green Bay was mapping out the offseason, and they were considering the chance that Rodgers wouldn't be back. And then they looked back to both the coaches and the execs point back to, they say they felt convinced on, as concerns over whether Love would make it or not, they felt that play, that confidence, that growth from Kansas City and Detroit to that moment in time, Jordan Love then showed that maturity, that confidence, that capability that they felt comfortable if Rodgers didn't return. And said, quote, he went out there and ultimately executed it. And quietly, he was winning over the staff, erasing skepticism and starting to shift the plates under the Packers quarterback room for the first time in 15 years. It was that play at that moment in that time. It's a really good piece by Albert Breer if you haven't read it already. But it was they are looking at that play and saying, we believe in Jordan Love. And I saw this morning, there were a lot of people that were kind of, tweeting it and retweeting it and putting the link. And I did too. I put the link out as well. So if you want to read it, go to the Facebook page or go over and follow me on Twitter and you can click on it and find it. But it takes into account the game from Kansas City and the game against Detroit and say, oh, look at the growth. And you can look at it, and the proof is in the pudding, and you can say that's factual. Look at the growth. On the other hand, how do you unsee what we saw in Kansas City? Was that Jordan Love, or as Matt LaFleur puts it, that's something he still to this day regrets? That was more of the play calling and not preparing for Spagnuolo, who is known to put pressure on quarterbacks, much less a rookie quarterback, and he just basically unloaded the kitchen sink on Jordan Love, that he didn't prepare Love properly for that. And so Matt LaFleur, more so than Jordan Love, takes the blame for the loss in Kansas City, in which the Packers only put up 7 points. So it's a really good look at all of that. To me, it's still not a determining factor as to how good or not good Jordan Love will be. We got to wait and see. But I think it's just an excellent, excellent look at kind of what went into the behind-the-scenes mentality of Matt LaFleur, and more so the quarterback's coach coming in of Tom Clements last year and now this year again, and the decision-making process by Brian Gutekunst and how that all played into it. So interesting stuff. Anyway, let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Matt LaFleur addressing the media and today before practice and before obviously getting ready to head to the Queen City in Cincinnati and the upcoming Friday night first preseason game for the Packers and the Bengals coming up. So we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur when we come back. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting live here in Sturgis, and this portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Skipper Buds. Skipper Buds in Pewaukee. Still plenty of boating season left. If you're looking for a pontoon, a tri-toon, if you're looking for new or used, if you're looking for fishing boats, pleasure boats, high-end ski boats, they have those as well over there, whether it's Mastercraft and Taiga, they've got those. So much still over at Skipper Buds, and they're dealing big time. Call my buddy Todd. He's the GM over there. He's the guy that has the power to make all the deals. 262-544-1200. That's 262-544-1200. Skipper Buds in Pewaukee. Boat sales, service, storage. 262-544-1200. You're going to hear from Matt LaFleur coming up next on The Bill Michaels Show.
Ready? This is The Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I'm coming.
Hi, Mark Tauscher.
Boy, you just never know when or where you're going to pop up. This time, it's my house.
Can I come in?
You're already standing in my living room.
Tausch, you have mosquitoes in here.
Oh, yeah. It's like an insect zoo right now at my house. Heads up, here comes that wasp again. Incoming.
Shoo! You need Palace 250 series of windows with exclusive hidden screens. They fit inside the actual window and protect you from nature.
Okay, now that's just brilliant. Yes, please. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin to the rescue.
You got anything to drink around here?
Yeah, just go right ahead and make yourself at home, I guess.
Ooh, root beer.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, bundle and save. Get a 250 series patio door and 8 double hung windows with hidden screens for as low as $188 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 8/31/23.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. We are live. We're in Sturgis, South Dakota, and enjoying the day here at Pappy Hoyle Campground. And people were asking me, who is Pappy Hoyle? And why is it named that? Pappy Hoyle was the originator of the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. He and his wife, they put this together years and years and years and years ago. As a matter of fact, 83 years ago. And they brought bikers together. They were doing runs up the hills and in the mud and the dirt, and they just loved riding, and they started riding in the area. And here in Sturgis, this little sleepy town of 7,100 people, blossoms and grows from that. This particular week, really, it's about a 3.5 week event now. It goes from 7,100 people that live here on the regular to almost 500,000, 400 and something thousand they estimated so far this year. And there's still people coming in. And as a matter of fact, I was saying earlier on the show, this is the most crowded I've ever seen Full Throttle and the Pappy Hoyle Campground. It's overwhelming how many RVs and campers and buses and tents and such are here. It's huge. And I mean, I know, that it's between them and the Buffalo Chip are really the two biggest out here. And Buffalo Chip is so infamous. But this place has grown and grown and grown and grown. And the Full Throttle Saloon and the marketing and such has grown and grown and grown over the years. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So, but it's exciting. Good stuff. And we're glad to be here. And thanks to, everybody for bringing us out here. SoundArtUSA.com. Thanks to them. Thanks to the Stinger Saloon on downtown Main Street in Sturgis for bringing us out here. Jesse James Dupree, the band Jackal. And the guys over at the Full Throttle Saloon, all of them being a part of the program. Thanks to them. Let's do this. Let's get back to the phone calls real quick, and then we'll get to Matt LaFleur. Tim listening to us in Sparta. Tim, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. How you doing today, man? What's up?
Oh, love your show, Bill. First, I've never done this before, but I got a shout out to my wife, who is still married to me after 40 years.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yep. Yesterday was our 40th wedding anniversary, and she hasn't found a plot to put me in yet. So I'm very grateful for that.
That's great. Good to hear, man. Good to hear.
The second thing is, I am tired of people going, we have to give Love 8 games before we can make a determination on whether he's going to be any good or not. I got eyeballs. You've got eyeballs. Within 3 games, maybe 4, we're going to know whether he's got the stuff or not. Now, his first game, you might want to cut him some slack, but don't you think that within 3 or 4 games, we're going to know whether we've got somebody or if we need to look for somebody else?
I would agree. I don't need to see a season's worth of game to know whether or not a quarterback can play quarterback. And what I'm looking for, Tim, I don't know what you look at, but like you said, we all have eyeballs. We're all pretty smart when it comes to football. And what I look for is flashes. I look for consistency. I look for the non-boneheaded mistakes. And I also think it's going to take a game or 2 or 3 for just the relationship of Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, to just kind of get a feel for the rhythm of what Jordan Love can do. And Matt LaFleur as a play caller has some responsibility there, but I agree with you. I don't need to see, 8, 9, 10 games to make a determination in a whole season. What's he do? I'll know. Can he throw the ball? Can he roll out? Can he read? Can he see coverage? Is the synapse between his brain and his arm quick enough to be able to throw a ball into a hole and release it before the defender can actually get there? So I agree with you. I don't need to see that many games. I think people are trying to give him all the benefit of the doubt, and in this touchy-feely world we have, everybody wants to conserve feelings, but I don't give a damn. You're out there to win football games. You got 3, 4, 5 games to get it together, and you've got a pretty veteran team around you, and the expectation should be to get to at least the postseason and hopefully go from there. But I agree. I want to see wins. I want to see if you can win consistently and not make the same mistake over and over again.
Yeah, the thing that I need to see, and you should be able to see right away, is he throwing the ball to a spot where the guy's going to be open, not waiting for him to get to a spot and be open?
Right.
Because I think that's been his biggest thing, is he waiting for them in the past to get open. So I think we'll be able to determine, pretty quickly if that's the case and whatnot. I hope they have a good season, but of course the defensive coordinator, whose name I refuse to repeat without spitting, and I'm in a car, so I can't spit. I think he's going to have more to do with it than Jordan Love. I really do. He's got all the talent in the world, and he has more talent coming in later, because Gary's not going to be able to go right away. Stokes isn't going to be able to go right away. So if with the talent that's there, and it's good talent, if he can't have a defense that is aggressive and a ball hawking affair, fire him in the middle of the season and get somebody in there who will use the talent properly.
Yeah.
So have a great day, Bill. Enjoy Sturgis. I was back there in 1981 for the season, and I don't think it's what it used to be.
No, it's not what it was even when I was here for the 65th, which is what now 22 years ago or something like that. It's a lot different. There's no doubt about it. Appreciate the phone call as always. 877-867-1670. The one thing, that he had mentioned is that Joe Barry's going to get reinforcements coming. I wonder how long it's going to be before Rashawn Gary, for those of you tuning in, the rumor is that he's being reinstated from the PUP list, and we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur coming up here momentarily. But if he's coming back, that means the only other first-round draft choice that is still on the shelf is Eric Stokes. That's it. Everybody else is back. You've got 7 of your 8 first-round draft choices that should be available to Joe Barry. Now, how quickly they reindoctrinate Rashawn Gary into this defense, we'll wait and see. Hopefully there's no setbacks. So you kind of take it with a grain of salt. It's always great to get him back. I'm surprised because this thing happened. I thought for sure it'd be at least October before he came back, but he's back about a month and a half earlier than I thought he would be, which is great news. And the advancements in ACL and MCL repair and surgery have grown leaps and bounds over the years. So to say that, I'm totally surprised. I'm not totally surprised, but it's great that he's back, and it's great that he's back this quick. The only real skepticism you may have defensively might be the safety position, I guess, at this point. I think your corners are pretty solid. Rasul Douglas and company and Jair. I think you're pretty. Keyshawn Nixon is back there. Rudy Ford is back there. I think you may have a little skepticism about their ceiling, but you feel at least pretty confident that they're a pretty decent unit. But that safety position still is a little bit of an eyebrow raiser. Let's do this.
Bill, I saw folks commenting about Luke Musgrave on Saturday night. Oh, he cooked Darnell Savage, just made him look silly. And then we're all like, well, wait a minute. Is that good for Musgrave, or is that bad for Darnell Savage in his 5th-year option this season?
That's the thing, is I really believe that that's bad for Savage. I'm now, don't get me wrong, Luke Musgrave, had it not been for some of the injuries, he probably would have been a first-round draft choice, even top 15, as many have predicted. But there was some question marks, and that's the reason he fell. And it was good for the Packers to get him, but it's not great for Savage. I'm glad that Musgrave's doing what he's doing, but man, that raises some eyebrows about the capability of your secondary. So I'm probably in the group of the latter than the former. By the way, good news, Bakhtiari back at practice today, back in pads and ready to go. So that news came out a little while ago. Andy Herman of the Pack a Day podcast just posted that and said, hey, alert the masses, Bach is back, or Bach is back, if you want to call it that. Hey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur. He's a little bit longer. We don't have time for him to get into the commercial break, but we'll take it coming out. So stay tuned. We are broadcasting live here in Sturgis, South Dakota. We are out here, compliments of a lot of great people that are on site. But we also want to remind you about our great sponsors back in the state of Wisconsin, and that being Buzzard Billy's and our friends at the Starlight Lounge, Pearl Street in La Crosse, Wisconsin, formerly an 1860s brick hotel on Pearl Street. Now, great restaurant downstairs, great lounge, bursting out of the 60s and early 70s upstairs. Great stuff from our friends at Buzzard Billy's and the Starlight Lounge. You got to stop in and say hi to them if you're out in the La Crosse area, or if you're living there now. That's a great place to go, especially for Friday Fish Fry. That's for damn sure. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Matt LaFleur next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Buckle up. It's all systems go at Potawatomi. Plug in to high wattage play and you could win an all-electric BMW i7. Play now through September with your club card. Prize drawings on Thursdays. There's a shocking $800,000 in total prizes on the line, including the luxury BMW i7. It's time to electrify your drive. Only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. More info at paysbig.com/BMW. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
This portion of the program brought to you by the people that helped get us here. That is our friends at Quick Trip. They are the official fuel provider of the Big Unit Cruiser. And God love Quick Trip. I could go on and on and on about Quick Trip. And I'll say this. We got out here on Friday, and we stayed in just outside of Worthington on Thursday night. And Worthington is the last Quick Trip before you get into Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And Quick Trip is expanding into South Dakota, but there were a couple people there from Wisconsin, and one guy from Minnesota, but a couple people from Wisconsin in this rest area. And they were talking about, yeah, we got to get to Quick Trip before it's the last one, and talking about the breakfast sandwiches and such. And it's just all the things that they're recognized for, just all the good stuff, because nobody does it like Quick Trip. And some of the best compliments are not necessarily things that, or the best advertisements are not necessarily things that they write for us to say and remind you of, like all the great specials and deals and such that they have, or the quick rewards card. But just when you talk to people along the way and they're like, oh my God, I got to go to Quick Trip before I can't go there anymore, because everybody recognizes the value of that Wisconsin institution. That's our friends at Quick Trip. Thanks to them for being a part of the program as well. This is what Matt LaFleur just spoke to the media a little while ago. I want you to take a listen to it. Here you go.
Matt, you kind of told us, in the spring that you were concerned about how many snaps you're going to get for quarterbacks, with as many as you got to get for your number one quarterback, and just talk about what Danny gave you and what you got now going with Sean and Alex.
Yeah, that's obviously a very difficult decision. The amount of respect that everybody has in here for Danny, and he probably was coming off his best day and family night, ironically enough. But, to your point, it is tough to rep four guys, especially when you have a young quarterback. So just thought that it was, unfortunately, a necessary move in order to get everybody the amount of reps that they needed.
What did that decision with Danny, because it could have been anyone, right? What would it come down to?
Well, I think he's been here for quite some time, and he did a lot of great things. Obviously, he was such an asset in the room. More of a veteran presence than the other guys in terms of just being able to. He's learned a lot of football from some really good football coaches, and he was great in the room. He was super supportive of Jordan, and it just came down to just trying to, more or less give the other guys the amount of reps we felt like we needed to see.
I know releasing Danny doesn't change any of this, but you are really young at quarterback, just reps-wise. What's the challenge of having a young starter and two backups who have zero NFL regular season snaps?
Yeah, I mean, that's the situation. So we're going to do the best with it. And, nothing's ever permanent in this league. We know that. And so we'll just see how these guys go about their business. I do think everybody's been working extremely hard. I think we've seen improvement from everybody in that room, and we'll just see where it goes.
Can you realistically have a rookie as your number two? I mean, is that a real?
Well, I was in Washington, and we had the same situation. So we had two rookie quarterbacks. So
What's your early take
it
on
wouldn't be the
Clifford?
first time it's been done.
What's your early take on Clifford?
He's done a lot of great things. I think he's got some gamer to him. I think that even when he hasn't made the best of decisions, like we saw one the other night where he threw an interception to Tyreek, he is a pretty resilient guy and is able to bounce back. And I think that's something you can't coach. Either guys are built that way or they're not. And I think he's definitely built the right way, and we've got to continue to try to refine some of his mechanics and get him more and more reps, because that's the best way to learn.
Does he take a lot of snaps and uses his legs too often? Does that happen with young quarterbacks?
I think he does a good job. I think he's got a really good feel when to use his legs and when not to. And certainly he is an athletic guy that can get out of the pocket. He kind of sneaky athletic. And he's got some good speed and can certainly move the sticks with his legs, but we're always going to train him as a quarterback first and foremost before something goes off schedule.
Now, what's the plan with Rashawn?
Yeah, he'll be off today, or off the pup list, and he'll be out there, and it's going to be more or less mostly individual, maybe some of the walkthrough / jog through, but he's not going to be in any team.
Is Stokes there yet?
Stokes is not there yet.
Could you talk about the importance of a lot of these joint practices, but being that this week you're going on the road for the first time, what went behind that decision, and how important do you feel being on the road is going to be for some of these younger guys?
I think it just gives us an opportunity to bond. I think that camaraderie is an important part of this process, and just that team chemistry, the makeup. The more these guys hang out together, the more they get to know each other. I think the more they'll fight for one another, and so I think it's a unique opportunity going against one of the premier teams in the National Football League. I wish Joe was going to be practicing. Not to say that he's not, but I'm guessing that he's not going to be. But I think it's going to, it's going to be a great test for our football team.
Have you already communicated with Zach about like how practice is going to run, like what you're looking for as far as matchups and things like that?
Not necessarily matchups, but we went through the whole practice in terms of what is the emphasis of the periods, the number of reps that the ones will be going against the twos, and but it's hard to get into like real match. Hey, we want to see this corner on this receiver. It just kind of, however it plays itself out, more or less.
Ethan Bull Mountain so far.
I've seen a lot of good things, from both those guys. They're very different receivers. Malik's more, your big, goonish type of guy that you guys know that we love around here, and he's very physical. And Bo is a scrapper now. He's a scrappy guy that can really run. So I think they both have flashed, and it's just about building the consistency of which they go out there, and ultimately they're going to have to do that in the preseason games.
You talk about the growth of Devontae, how much he's grown from his first year and this year on that defensive line.
Yeah, I think that's one of those positions that naturally usually takes a little bit of time, the interior D-line, just to learn some new moves and whatnot. But I think more than anything else, the growth for him has been he's got a really good handle on what we're asking him to do. And he's certainly flashed throughout the course of the practices, 10 practices that we've had thus far. So expect him to continue to build upon that and get better each and every day.
That collaboration process for practice with Zach, is that any different when you're going on the road? Is it more their rules than when you're hosting a team here from a structure standpoint?
Possibly. Certainly the time is what we're practicing. But I think there's just a lot of good collaboration. I think there's definitely a mutual respect there, and we've worked together. So it was pretty easy to come to a conclusion. And if there was something that he didn't like, just, he'd explain why, and something I didn't like, I'd explain why. But it was pretty easy. He's a great guy I got a lot of respect for, and certainly, it's going to be a great experience, I think, for both teams.
Going back to the league, he seems to be a guy that the quarterbacks find whenever he's out on the field. When it comes down to those final roster spots, how much do you just take that into account, that he's always there?
Well, it's performance based. I don't know how much that necessarily goes into effect. He's going to get more and more opportunities. Again, we haven't had a preseason game, so it's hard to, go too far into it. But for the opportunities that he's gotten in practice, I think he's done a nice job, and he's got to continue to build on it.
Matt, what's your plan for Jordan Friday night?
You guys are just going to have to wait and find out. I don't know.
With your starters, so you generally don't play a lot of them in the first preseason game. So do you try to get them a lot of reps in this joint practice and let the young guys kind of play on?
Yeah, that's the theory behind it. I think we're a little bit different this year. So, we'll make a decision on Jordan. We've definitely talked about him going in this game and quite frankly, playing everybody in this game. There might be a select few that don't play, but we'll get more into it as we approach the game.
Does the joint practice dictate that at all, or is your plan going to be kind of regardless of what happens in the practice on Wednesday?
No, I think that definitely has to weigh into it, and you kind of go through that practice, evaluate it, see where you are, and then make decisions upon that. So we have a preliminary plan that we've already discussed with our coaches, but as you guys know, that's subject to change.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Have a good
There
one.
you go. That is Matt LaFleur talking to the media, and some interesting stuff. Rashawn Gary, indeed, activated off of the PUP list. They're going to take it easy with him. David Bakhtiari back at practice, but no need to rush him back into game situations. He's been there, done that, as we all know. And then just talking about, hey, not going to reveal game plans or what the plans are specifically, but that, the quarterback room, Danny Etling, they just wanted to get more reps for the other guys that are there. And he doesn't have a problem with a lot of youth when it comes to the quarterback room in general. And a lot of the stuff that we discussed and a lot of the opinion that we discussed, it's all right there. So nothing shocking coming out of anything that he had to say today. So some good stuff, but a lot of confirmation stuff out of some of the things that we'd already kind of subscribed to when it came to our thought process. So good stuff from Matt LaFleur today. Let's do this. Let's step out, take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll get into your thoughts and such. Also coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk a little bit from Hometown Guys. Jeremy and the gang from Mama Tried and the Flat Out Friday crew, they're going to be here and talk about what they have coming up in, I believe, February of this year. But they're out here in Sturgis, South Dakota, so a little bit of a hometown blast from those guys. So good to hear from them, and they're going to be joining us here in just a little bit. This portion of the program brought to you by John Atley and the gang from the Water Doctors. They are a huge supporter of the motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 3rd. We can't ask you enough to get registered, to spread the word. We can't do it without you, and we just really need as much kind of grassroots effort as possible. And John heard about it and said, hey, look, Fisher House is one of our charities this year, very near and dear to his heart, very near and dear to my heart. So it was a great collaboration, and the Water Doctors stepped up and said, hey, we'll be one of the stage co-sponsors. We'll take a lot of the expense away from the event, and 100% of the proceeds from every biker that joins us on this motorcycle ride will go into Fisher House, Wisconsin. So please come out and join us and support Water Doctors and the Connecticut Water Softening System. H2, the letter O, H2ODoctors.com. That's H2ODoctors.com. And if they're not in your area in the state of Wisconsin, they will get you in touch with the dealer nearest you, because they're that kind of people. They can just help you out anywhere and everywhere. So again, H2ODoctors.com. That's H2ODoctors.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up live from Sturgis, South Dakota, right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I'm coming.
Hi, Mark Tauscher.
Boy, you just never know when or where you're going to pop up. This time, it's my house.
Can I come in?
You're already standing in my living room.
Tausch, you have mosquitoes in here.
Oh, yeah. It's like an insect zoo right now at my house. Heads up. Here comes that wasp again. Incoming.
Shoo! You need Palace 250 series of windows with exclusive hidden screens. They fit inside the actual window and protect you from nature.
Okay, now that's just brilliant. Yes, please. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin to the rescue.
You got anything to drink around here?
Yeah, just go right ahead and make yourself at home, I guess.
Ooh, root beer.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, bundle and save. Get a 250 series patio door and 8 double hung windows with hidden screens for as low as $188 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 8/31/23.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Thanks to our friends downtown Waukesha, Nice Ash, theniceash.com. Great place to go. Entertainment Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Open 7 days a week. Bourbons, whiskeys, huge walk-in humidor, hookahs as well. Great stuff, and that's our friends at the Nice Ash, theniceash.com. It's a cigar bar, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha, and a great place to go, and a great place to go and watch Brewers game or football when we are back with football, whatever it may be. That's a good place to go and just enjoy. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Looks like Grant Dubose is about ready to come back as well. And he needs to. He needs reps. Big time. Big time. Needs reps and needs to be seen. So the old adage is you can't make the club from the tub. So needs to get back out there. But the big news today was that David Bakhtiari back at the practice field. And you've also got Rashawn Gary back as well. So Rashawn Gary coming back, a little surprising, which is great. It's great news for the Green Bay Packers. This is, let's see here. This is from Jason who said, hey, Bill, listen every day and respond as much as I possibly can. I, too, have some skepticism about Jordan Love, but he's beginning to win me over. Are you starting to feel the love for Love? Jason, what has he done to win you over? You know, it's kind of like going back to when in the offseason, you know, you kind of see where the draft boards fall. And then they go to combine, and then after combine, they adjust a little bit. And then all of a sudden, come draft day, guys are, quote, rocketing up a big board. And my question is, what have they done to warrant that optimism, whatever? To me, right now, yeah, I'm excited. I'm like many of you, I can't wait to see what Jordan Love brings to the table. All the talk is about him. All the pressure is on him. All the eyeballs are on him. I understand that. But he has done nothing between last year and this year to make me change my mind or make me say, oh, my God, I'm going to show him the love. He's always said the right things. He's performed well. He's performed poorly. He's performed adequately. He's performed subpar. Nothing's changed. He hasn't taken a snap. He hasn't won a game. He hasn't lost a game. So, I think you're looking for and I hate to say this, but I think some of you are looking for me to blow the smoke up your skirt, so to speak, to say, look, oh, this is great. Boy, here it is. I still have the same questions. I hope they're answered. I hope they're answered in a very positive way. I'm not being negative. I'm just saying nothing's changed my mind. It's just let it play out. I think that to me is probably the fairest thing to Jordan Love. Let it play out. And then make a judgment. Not off of one game or two, but you'll know in a few what you got. But let it play out. The same reason I'm not, bashing guys. Let it play out. We have another hour yet to go. We are broadcasting live here in Sturgis, South Dakota. Pappy Hoyle Campground, Full Throttle Saloon, all that kind of good stuff. We'll be back with more coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers back in the field for practice today after getting yesterday off following family night. It's officially game week for them as they're going to open the preseason on Friday in Cincinnati. Coach Matt LaFleur laid out the plan for the week on Saturday night.
Well, Monday we're going to have a little bit of a lighter practice. I think we're scheduled for about 90 minutes, but want to get some work in on Tuesday. We'll slow it down. We'll walk through, and then it's travel to Cincinnati and go compete against a really good football team, one of the best teams in the National Football League.
The team will hold a joint practice against the Bengals on Wednesday. It's the first time they've held a joint practice away from Green Bay during training camp. They'll do so with just 3 quarterbacks on the roster. That's after they cut Danny Etling yesterday, leaves rookie Sean Clifford and USFL MVP Alex Magoo to compete to be Jordan Love's backup. Turning to the Badgers, they're going to finish out their time in Platteville tonight when they practice under the lights. Yesterday's practice featured a very good day for the offense, including quarterback Tanner Mordecai. He's the unquestioned starter for Wisconsin as they install a new offensive system under offensive coordinator Phil Longo. Badgers set to open the season September 2nd against Buffalo.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer. But did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
The Brewers lead in the NL Central stands at a 1.5 games despite losing the finale of their series to Pittsburgh yesterday. Milwaukee in first with the Reds and Cubs sitting in a tie for second place. Brewers will open a series against Colorado tonight at American Family Field. First pitch at 7:10. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Kyle. Print.
We are live. We are in Sturgis, South Dakota. Pappy Hoyle Campground. Full Throttle Saloon off in the distance. Good to have you on board. Good to have you today. A lot of activity, a lot of motorcycles. And the good news is the rain held off. Just had a couple of sprinkles here or there, but nothing to even make the ground wet today. Thank God. We've had enough rain. So good stuff. Good stuff today. 877-867-1670. I'm going to open up the phone lines, and we can get into some of the Packers discussion. One thing we have not mentioned, we'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, but the conference realignment has become a hot issue as to more teams looking to enter, or the Big Ten looking to get more teams to enter the Big Ten Conference. The full-on assault via the Pac-12 is on, and I know there's the discussion now about the athletes and about, the realignment, and there's a lot of purists like myself. I have not liked this from the very beginning. It has been a nothing more than a cash grab. Let's be honest. But once it starts, once the erosion begins, you can't stop it. Pandora's box was opened. And you're not going to, my dad always used to say up on the farm, you can't put the poop back in the horse. You just can't. It's out. It's there. Don't step in it. But it is a full onslaught of cash that's being grabbed in college athletics. And as soon as, the athletes started getting paid for their likeness and having the ability to make money, it no longer was about a scholarship and an education and furthering your future through sports. This is a full-on, you're paid employees, you are paid players, you are paid athletes, and depending on what your likeness, depending on what your popularity brings, will depend upon what your monetary ability is going to be. And in doing so, going out and getting sponsors as opposed to schools actually paying a lot of this, the schools have opened it up to the communities. The communities are starting to pump money into college athletics like never before, whether it's buying an athlete for their likeness, whether it's paying an athletic department to go out and recruit better athletes. I mean, everything that SMU was accused of years ago, it's now all legal. It's just go do it, go get the money, and we'll get as many big schools as we can to create TV ratings, which then create money, which creates television revenue, which creates more cash into the pockets and into the coffers of the institutions. And the vicious cycle is now started, and it's spinning unbelievably fast, and you are not going to stop it. At this point, I don't even think the NCAA can really regulate it. It's just what was supposed to be getting athletes not only an education, but also a stipend of money so they could take their girlfriends out and go buy pizzas and a couple of beers and what have you and do their laundry, is now setting some of these guys up for life. So they can go out and start their own businesses, buy their own businesses, companies, what have you, as they get ready then to either go to the NFL or go into the next phase, because they're getting millions. It's not about getting a couple $100 a month. It's about getting millions now. So it's a full-on cash grab, as the NCAA Division I conference realignment saw major movement over the weekend with this dismantling of the Pac-12. And it's a cash grab. So when you hear the athletic directors talk about the student athlete, just take the student part out of it. They're just athletes now. They're paid athletes. The portal is nothing. The portal should just say the portal of money. Follow the money and follow the opportunities for a lot of these guys that are going to go hired gun to hired gun to hired gun to place to place to place. They're just they're athletic assassins at this point. That's all it is. So it's something that we'll get a little bit more into tomorrow, and we'll try to get Zach Heilprin to join us to talk a little bit about the Badgers and what they have going on as well. But that being said, I didn't ignore it. I didn't ignore it. I just, with the Packers coming off of the family night, those are the pressing issues rather than the larger overall athletic issues when it comes to Big Ten football and the assault of the Pac-12. So that's it. I wanted to make a note of it. I didn't want to act like I was ignoring it, but it is what it is, And the Big Ten, let's be honest, they're New York to L.A. New York, L.A., two teams in Illinois grabbing another large market. You still have the big-time rivals and the big names in Ohio State and Michigan. You still have the staunch western portion that's Wisconsin. You still have a big school and a big money school in Nebraska. And now you're going for the television markets in L.A. and in the West Coast. So, I mean, as far as TV goes and the television ratings and such, which is what it's all being now based upon, it's just massive. It's just a massive, massive, massive cash grab. That's it. 877-867-1670. That's the phone number. If you want to hit us up on Twitter, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels, at Wisco Grant over on Twitter for our buddy Grant Bills as well. This one's from Cheryl, who says, if you feel it's unfair of Danny Etling to be cut, and again, this is not me. She's talking to those that are out there that feel it's unfair to have Danny Etling cut. then you need to understand what it is they're trying to do. They're trying to bring up the youth, and the movement is on in Green Bay. You just have a few holdovers that they're going to have questions about come the offseason. And she's got in parentheses David Bakhtiari, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Devondre Campbell and company. Yes and no. I don't think all of them are on the block. Depending on their seasons, obviously, and injuries and such. But there is a youth movement on. I'm not going to deny that. Because you always want to be younger. You always want to be better. You always want to have, good youth up and coming. And let's be honest, you always want to have good, cheap labor. That's what you're always looking for. Every company, every business, every sports team, good, cheap labor. That's it. But there are certain veterans that know it, that you have to hang on to. You just can't keep rotating youth after youth after youth after youth and think that you're going to get better because they're constantly in the learn. You have to keep veteran knowledge around. You have to keep veteran capability around because it's the veterans that show the young guys what it takes to become a veteran. So it's not just about getting the next season and starting to make cuts. It's about making the right cuts. The right cuts. Paul says, what do you think of Malik Heath? He is certainly making a name for himself. Absolutely. Why do you think Grant Dubose is coming back? The old adage, you can't make the club from the tub, and Malik Heath has made a name for himself. So and he just continues to impress as well. I saw some videos from a little bit earlier today of Packers practice. So I'm, he's been a guy that, and it's not just because of the opportunities because of Grant Dubose and the injury. It's just for the fact that he has stood out. Mike Clemens talked about him early on, like early in camp, going back to the OTAs and the mini camps type of thing, talking about different guys that, hey, there's going to be a story or two that's going to come out of training camp that every year it happens. We look at it and we go, whoa, wait a minute. Where did that come from? Well, Malik Heath is that guy right now. He's been impressive. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. What else do we have here for you? This is from Super Mario over on Twitter. The only problem is that the Packers did beat good teams last year. The Cowboys, the Vikings, the Dolphins, Tampa, playoff teams. The Packers still have the opportunity with a decent quarterback to do the same thing. Correct? Now, again, let it play out. It's easy to say, well, look at the way the team was. But we all know it's a quarterback-driven league. And the quarterback, regardless of the thumb issue, is still a really damn good quarterback. And the numbers that he put up last year, a lot of quarterbacks would take on the regular. So it's a quarterback-driven league. Just because you got damn near everybody returning, plus you've accentuated a few of those pieces, doesn't mean it's all of a sudden just going to take off and be the exact same and or better. Because the guy that's running the show now is completely different. This one is from Courtney, who says, I believe in Jordan Love. As a Packers fan, I not only believe in him, I have a lot of hope that Goody was right. What happens to Goody's job if he was wrong and he's not the guy to lead this team? I want to remain optimistic, but you have to look at all sides. Courtney, I think that I guess if you're asking me if Goody's job's in jeopardy, no. I think he's done a pretty good job. After the first couple of drafts, I think he's done a really good job. His legacy, his notoriety is coming off of the pick and the tumultuousness between the relationship of the organization and Aaron Rodgers, all, within that realm of, Jordan Love being picked. But no, Goody's not going anywhere. Nor is Matt LaFleur, for that matter, unless things go horrifically wrong and it looks like he has lost then the locker room. Beyond that, he's not going anywhere. Not happening. Spencer says, why is everybody focusing on Jordan Love? We should be focusing on Joe Barry and the defense. If he's got Rashawn Gary back, he's only one first-round draft choice away from being a full complement of excellent players. Joe Barry will be the problem, mark my words. And we are kind of regurgitating the same topics, aren't we? I think that everything, again, it's wait and see. There's a reputation there. There's an anxiety there. 100% agree. I didn't think Joe Barry should have kept his job. I understand why he did. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. But this year, you wipe the slate clean. Right now, they don't have a loss. They don't have a win. Let's see where. And I'll say this too. don't look at Joe Barry and base what you see defensively in the preseason as to what the regular season is going to be, unless it's fundamentals. Fundamentals are one thing. If guys can't tackle, if guys aren't throwing shoulders, if guys are, just kind of half-assing it and they're not really fundamentally sound, okay. Then I can say that's going to go back to, coaching and guys' will and wherewithal. But I'm not basing the preseason. I don't care if they get blown out in every game in the preseason 40-20, as long as what I see is progress and them doing the right thing. And if they're playing extremely vanilla and back and soft while other teams are being aggressive, I'm okay with that. I don't care about the results of the preseason. What I want to see is fundamentally sound football. That's it. And I know that's not a popular stance, but that's where I'm at. Edward says, oh my God, I completely agree. Thank you very much, Edward. 877-867-1670. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. Stay tuned. We got more from out here in Sturgis, South Dakota. We'll be back right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I'm coming.
Hi, Mark Tauscher.
Boy, you just never know when or where you're going to pop up. This time, it's my house.
Can I come in?
You're already standing in my living room.
Tausch, you have mosquitoes in here.
Oh, yeah. It's like an insect zoo right now at my house. Heads up. Here comes that wasp again. Incoming.
Shoo! You need Palace 250 series of windows with exclusive hidden screens. They fit inside the actual window and protect you from nature.
Okay, now that's just brilliant. Yes, please. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin to the rescue.
You got anything to drink around here?
Yeah, just go right ahead and make yourself at home, I guess.
Ooh, root beer.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, bundle and save. Get a 250 series patio door and 8 double-hung windows with hidden screens for as low as $188 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 8/31/23.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We are on the air. We are live. We're in Sturgis, South Dakota. We're enjoying the day. Yeah. The rumble of motorcycles and the tour buses and coach buses and RVs and stuff still continue to swing in here at the Pappy Hoyle campground, and which is packed. And I just can't believe how much it's grown over the last couple of years, as a matter of fact, since we've been coming here. But a lot of this, everybody's kind of geeked up. You got a couple of years down the road. The 85th is on the horizon, and a lot of people are looking at that anniversary date, and it just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. The Full Throttle they've added on to, and Slaughter rocked the house last night. I don't know who's here tonight. I think Lita Ford is at the Buffalo Chip tonight. Tomorrow night, Styx is over at the Buffalo Chip, and then Jackal and Count 77 is going to be here on Thursday night. And we're going to end up probably taking off on Friday, and then Friday night getting back in time to watch the game with the Packers in Cincinnati, and then to get back at it and kind of get back into our full regular show mode next Monday. But just a lot of things happening out here. They have the Fantasy Girls here from Vegas. They're here. As a matter of fact, not only are they here, but they're bartending and they're dancing on the bars over at the Full Throttle. They were here yesterday. They've got the Wall of Death here. Downtown Sturgis is abuzz of vendors and such. And don't forget about our fine people that brought us here. Road, Track, and Trail. They are the ones that supply us with our on-site transportation out here. They are the world's largest, whether it's motorcycles, UTVs, ATVs, and snowmobiles, the world's largest dealer of those used vehicles. And go to roadtrackandtrail.com. If they can't get it, it ain't out there. Go to roadtrackandtrail.com. That is roadtrackandtrail.com. This is from Kathy. Kathy says, I think all of the attention on Jordan Love is probably warranted. However, the pressure being put upon him to perform at the same level as Aaron Rodgers is not. He has to become his own person, his own quarterback. I think we are all too quick to jump on every error to say, see, he's not the guy. Yeah, I think there, look, this whole thing about pressure, it's there. It's legitimate. To say it's not would be stupid. Absolutely there's pressure. There's pressure with just being a quarterback in the National Football League, much less pressure to fill in for the guy or come in and take over the position for the guy that was a Hall of Famer. And the guy that had such a controversial pick surrounding him, much like Aaron Rodgers did. There's always that pressure. It's how you handle it, and it's what you do. I agree with you to say that he needs to live up to a certain standard, let him become his own person. Yeah, that wholeheartedly, in theory, is awesome. But there is a certain level and standard that has been in Green Bay for 30-plus years. There is an expectation of winning, of getting to the postseason, and then figuring it out in Green Bay, and it has been for a very long time. And while you have an understanding, this is the difference between reality and hope and all that kind of stuff. There is an understanding that as a rookie, for the first time being a starting quarterback, I don't mean a rookie in the NFL, but a rookie starting quarterback. Jordan Love's getting the reins, and I think most Packers fans are saying, look, we know he's not a Hall of Famer. We haven't seen him play. We don't know what specifically he can do. We're hoping that what we see coming out of Philadelphia from last year is the guy, okay? Because if that's the guy, then there should be some more success. But I don't feel ever you should lower your expectation because you feel that this guy is subpar. What you should do is say, if this guy is subpar, go find somebody who is par or above par. That's the responsibility of a general manager. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But I don't think as Packers fans, you should lower your expectations. I think there's a reality of saying, you know what? We'll see what this year brings. You know, we understand it might be a bit of a down year. There are certain years in which you would look at and you go, you know what? I get it. We're not going to be in the postseason this year. So you look for what you can find this season, and then you expound upon it in the offseason, and you get better, and then you should be back in the postseason. But your expectation should never to be passivity. No, not at all. And I would agree with that. That you're 100% true. I'm not backing off of that. I'm just not. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. 877-867-1670. Let's see here. What else do we have? I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Let's go to Steve, listening to us in Eau Claire. Steve, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show.
Hello, Bill. How's Sturgis going there?
It is great so far. No rain today, so I'm happy about that. And when we get off the air, I think we're going to go do a little riding today. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Hey, I wanted to go back for a moment to what you were talking about with the Big Ten Conference and the realignment stuff. I completely agree with you that bringing in 4 West Coast schools into a Midwest conference where the westernmost school right now is 4 states away is absolutely ridiculous. They're ignoring what's going to be a logistical nightmare in favor of what you said, a cash grab is what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, I did see a suggestion on Facebook this week, just from some random guy, that I wanted to get your thoughts on, because I think it might make the most sense in a situation that, no matter how you cut it, really isn't going to make any sense. But what he suggested is, now that we got the 4 schools that we did, those 4 and the 4 that so far have been hung out to dry are the ones that made up the old Pac-8 conference from years ago. And those 2 conferences, the Big Ten and the Pac-8, they always had kind of a traditional rivalry, if you will, by way of the Rose Bowl.
Right.
So, he suggested if we're going to bring in the 4 that we did, let's just go out and get the other 4, and then we can create some kind of a championship game or bowl game, just like the Rose Bowl used to be years ago. And again, that to me sounded like the most sensible scenario in a situation that, no matter how you cut it, it's really not going to make any sense.
Yeah, in essence, you're taking one of the best teams out of, or 2 maybe, out of the Big Ten. Those are probably going to be in the Final 4 or Final 8 or whatever, the expansion goes to specifically. And then you're going to have, after that, like a Big Ten bowl game? Is that kind of what the way it would play out, where the Big Ten has their own bowl game, so to speak?
I mean, I would think that they would have to come up with something if there's going to be like a 20-team conference.
Right.
I mean, that's the part that I don't think is going to make any sense, no matter what you do.
I would agree, and you're leaving a lot of. Yeah, I don't know how to put it. You're still going to have bowl games, but you're going to leave a lot of teams out in the wind. And there are certain teams in the Big Ten that don't want to leave. But does the Big Ten want to hang on to them? Could they then say take a couple of teams out? I don't think so, but could they? Some of the lesser teams, could they end up saying, "Hey, we don't need you anymore"? I mean, you take a staunch team that's been around for a while, a staunch school that's been around for a while, but they're not very good, and that's Northwestern with all of their issues. Rick said take out a team like Rutgers and maybe take a mass realignment in that sense. But I just don't think they get rid of the fan bases in those cities just because these teams aren't winning on the consistent. But I appreciate the email. Or appreciate the phone call. I am going to be fascinated to see, and I'll be honest, fascinated and probably disgusted to see how all of this plays out. Because the fans and traditions and such be damned. And this is now 300 professional schools getting paid. And really, it's not even a Power 5 anymore. It's probably a Power 3, maybe a 2. ACC still hanging in there, but it's the Big Ten and the SEC. Big 12, even though they've lost their 2 key schools in Texas and Oklahoma. You know, it's 2 conferences that have made up the world of college athletics as we know it, because the SEC guide Oklahoma and Texas, while the Big Ten strategically is looking at markets. The SEC looked at powerhouses and large fan bases. And now the linchpin for it all is still, you know, what's going to happen with the ACC, what's going to happen with Notre Dame, what's, you know, and where's it all going to fall? But it's just, man, it's just this is now, it's always has been big business. Again, college football, college athletics in general, we're always this backroom, boardroom dealing, under the table dealing. There was money, but you didn't see it, and they wanted to kind of stand up on the soapbox and say and pontificate about it being about the student athlete and about the college experience. Not anymore. It's out in the open. Pandora's box has been opened, and it's there for all to see. And now they don't make any excuses. It's just, we're going for the markets, we're going for the money. And, oh, by the way, if a good tradition comes along with it, that's fine. But this is all about the money. And so I can see the Big Ten creating their own games and entities because it creates more money for them. Anything they can sell, anything within themselves that they can sell where they can keep their own money, that's what you do. So absolutely, I could see that happening. 877-867-1670. Good content, good thought, and appreciate it very much. We're going to break. Well, let's do this. We're going to break. I got a couple of people over on the live stream that I want to answer some of the questions, because there's been some good stuff coming by, and I want to get into that as well. I don't want to ignore it. And then also coming up here in just a short bit, we got What Did We Miss? That's going to be happening as we're going to be chatting with our buddy Grant Bills, producing the program, about what else did we miss today. So that's coming up. Stay tuned. We are broadcasting live. We are in Sturgis, South Dakota. And we can't say thanks enough to our friends at the Four Seasons Island Resort up in Pembine, Wisconsin. They are just great people and great place, and they have been a big supporter of the motorcycle ride. But more so than anything, it's a great escape, a great getaway, a great weekend. UTV, ATV trails are open. And they got a lot going on, whether it's playing golf in the championship golf course at Timberstone up in Pine Mountain in the UP, or the 9-hole executive in the Four Seasons Island Resort. Maybe just going up and relaxing, fishing, pontooning, kayaking, you name it. It's just kind of unplugging a little bit, and they can help you out. Weddings, they can do weddings. They can do corporate events. They have a lot of meeting space and rental space and capability there as well. Again, call our girl Barb, 715-938-5110, 715-938-5110. 5110. Use the promo code Michaels15. You get 15% off your stay. Again, call Barb, 715-938-5110. That's the Four Seasons Island Resort.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Live in Sturgis, South Dakota. Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on. Got to say thanks again to our friends from Cunis RV and Nexus. They are the suppliers of the Big Unit Cruiser, and we got out here, got set up, and they're absolutely great to deal with, great to work with, and we can't say thanks enough. But they are also, as voted on by you, those that are listening, they are the #1 RV dealer in the state of Wisconsin. And you can go to Kunes, Kunes, KunesRV.com, KunesRV.com. And from the automotive side, they've been great in supplying us with a truck to use this year for a lot of the stuff that we do via Fisher House, Wisconsin. And we say thanks to them and go to shop, S-H-O-P, shopkunes.com for the automotive side and all the terrific things that they can do for you with the warranties and such on new and used. We can't say thanks enough to them and our friends from Kunes. And our friends from Nexus. Nexus is the actual RV that we are in. This year we are in a Nexus Triumph, which is just awesome. Love the interior space. You know me, I'm 6'5", 6'6", and you know, they gave us a pretty good sized bed too, so I don't hang off the end of it, which is usually, that's not easy to do in RVs, but it's great. It's comfortable. I've probably slept better there than I have at home the last couple of weeks. So great stuff from our friends at Nexus as well, and thanks to them for being a part of the program. I got a couple of things real quick I want to get back to, and then we'll get into the end of the program with our buddy Grant Bills and what do we miss. But one of the questions that was asked to me, and I want to go back to this, Steve said, in the article by Albert Greer, do you think that Aaron Rodgers also saw the same thing that the Packers front office and Matt LaFleur saw, and therefore that could be another reason why Aaron decided to bolt to New York? That's a great question. I don't think so. I think, man, how do I put this? In all honesty, I just think that it had grown tiresome. I think what Mike Clemens said early in the program, if you were listening at that point, when Mike had said he had spoke to somebody on family night who was very close, we'll say, to Rodgers and the organization. And when they said, hey, look, there was this discussion regarding the back-to-back MVPs and during COVID year, and that Aaron just can't let it go. And then the comment is, and we're glad to be done with that. I think it just rings true. I think it was just the constant backhanded slaps, the constant innuendos, the massaging of ego, walking on the Aaron Rodgers eggshells. Aaron on one hand said the relationship was great. It was great. They were talking to him. They were using his thoughts and discussions and everything he wanted. And I think just all of the negativity, or at least the perception of negativity, it just weighs on you after a while. It just does, to the point where you just finally say, just enough. I want to be done with it. You can do it. How many times have we talked about, like, say, bands? A lot of great bands have broken up because of egos and because, of credit and who does what and who didn't do what. And you got to be careful what you say, because this guy could be offended, and no, this guy wants creative control, and no, this guy does. And yet together they're putting out unbelievable music. They're incredibly talented, but the egos, the feelings, the emotions, the humanity side of things, and the selfishness gets in the way. And then they break up. And then eventually they all come back together, and there's a reunion tour or what have you. And everybody hugs and says, man, look how great we were. It's a shame that we broke up when we did. And that's what happens. That's what happens. But I think that relationship, if you will, had already run its course, and it was just done. So as much as I would have loved to have seen, and I really did, I was a big believer that they would run it back. I really thought that that might have had one more run in it, but not going to happen. Not going to happen. Let's do this. We're going to break. We're going to come back. We're going to wrap it up. We got to do some stuff that we missed today, things we did not talk about yet today. So we want to touch on all of that. Grant Bills is going to be joining us. Again, I've got a lot of people questioning about all the different things going on out here in Sturgis. Are you going to go see any of the bands? Yes. We're obviously, there's a lot of different bands. I mean, Lita Ford, Def Leppard, Slaughter was last night. Jackal's going to be playing. Styx is here. Leonard Skinnerd. All of that. Yeah, we're going to get out and see some of that. We've seen some local bands already. We were over at the Deadwood Tobacco Company the other day, and his name escapes me. This guy was fantastic. This real deep voice, not kind of Trace Atkinsy, but a really good voice, and kind of a one-man band. The guy could play everything. He played the flute, for God's sakes, with his stuff. It was fantastic. So a lot of good stuff that we've seen, music we've seen, great places to go. One-Eyed Jack's is a great place to eat. The Knuckle's okay. The Knuckle's the world-famous Knuckle, but the food is all right, but you're there for the atmosphere. We're over at the Iron Horse Saloon the other night, and I posted some of the sights and sounds. If you haven't looked at it, you got to go see it. I posted some of the sights and sounds at the Iron Horse Saloon, which that was a lot of fun. We were at the Stinger Saloon. We've been over to we were at a restaurant last night that was fantastic. Saloon 10 down in Deadwood. So we've had a terrific time and been all over the place, but there's a lot more to go, and we'll take a lot more pictures and post a lot more social media for sure. But we're here doing a lot of things in conjunction with our motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 3rd. And we're making a lot of people that are here aware of what's going on in Wisconsin and back in Milwaukee on that particular date and that weekend, because we want to get as many riders as we can to come and join us for an incredibly worthy cause for Fisher House, Wisconsin. And hopefully we raise a lot of money for veterans, military members, and their families. So that's why we're here, and that's why we do what we do, because we'll travel all over. We have fun, but we travel all over to make sure we can spread the word the best we possibly can. So that's what we're doing. Let's do this. We'll wrap it up next. What did we miss? Coming up next, right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Summer's winding down, but there's still time to experience the roar and excitement of racing. Road America is running, and you don't want to miss out on this last chance to feel the rumble. Campsites are available, and public karting is open. There's something for everyone at Road America. For tickets and all the family fun information, go to roadamerica.com. That's roadamerica.com. Road America, America's National Park of Speed.
I'm coming.
Hi, Mark Tauscher.
Boy, you just never know when or where you're going to pop up. This time, it's my house.
Can I come in?
You're already standing in my living room.
Tausch, you have mosquitoes in here.
Oh, yeah. It's like an insect zoo right now at my house. Heads up. Here comes that wasp again. Incoming.
Shoo! You need Palace 250 series of windows with exclusive hidden screens. They fit inside the actual window and protect you from nature.
Okay, now that's just brilliant. Yes, please. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin to the rescue.
You got anything to drink around here?
Yeah, just go right ahead and make yourself at home, I guess.
Ooh, with beer.
Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, bundle and save. Get a 250 series patio door and 8 double-hung windows with hidden screens for as low as $188 per month. Visit PellaWI.com today. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 8/31/23.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you. We are broadcasting live. We are in Sturgis, South Dakota, and at Pappy Hoyle Campground. Here today, here tomorrow, and a Full Throttle Saloon. And then off the rest of the week, we'll reconvene again on Monday. Grant Bill's going to take you the rest of the way on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week. Tomorrow, we've got our buddy Chuck Freeman's going to join us from the Lockdown Brewers podcast. He'll be here to talk. Also, Mike Clemens, I'm sure at some point will probably chime in. Zach Halprin, the sports director for WOZN in Madison, going to be joining us as well. We're going to talk some Badgers tomorrow, too, on the program, and anything else that happens to pop up. We're going to have Jesse James Dupree from the band Jackal tomorrow, from the show Counting Cars, and from the band Counts 77, Danny Corkle is supposed to be here tomorrow. The Count is supposed to join us as well. So we got a lot coming up tomorrow on the program. And the guys didn't make it. Their races went long. So the guys from Mama Tried, Scott and the gang are going to be here tomorrow about this time. So we got a lot going on in the program tomorrow as we round it out. Right now, though, we bring in our buddy Grant Bills. It's time for What Did We Miss?
Bill, I wrote down a couple things today. I want to go back to the very beginning of the show.
Okay.
We're talking about the Albert Breer story, right? And Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur and working together during that Eagles game. There was an excerpt in this story that made me laugh. And you mentioned it briefly. I just wanted to bring it up one more time and laugh about it again. When Matt LaFleur was talking about game planning for Jordan Love's start with the Chiefs, this is what he said, quote, "What I should have done in hindsight is start over with the game plan, not to throw everything out, but just have some better answers for him, specifically so it took a little off his plate. I was worried about it going into the game, and my biggest fears came true." Matt LaFleur, you think?
Right.
Do you think?
Right.
We're like, we said that the night of the game. We're like, oh, so they didn't change the game plan at all. They didn't do anything for Love. And to hear him say it specifically, it made me laugh a little bit.
He said it's something that he regrets to this day that he didn't do. He didn't change because I don't even think he underestimated. I just thought he was thinking, we're not going to change anything. We're going to do what we do, and we can do it, and we're going to be able to fend off that pass rush. And Spagnuolo unloaded everything. Not only what his normal game plan was, he unloaded everything consistently on Jordan Love, and Jordan Love was under siege for most of the day. And for him that's one of those coaching moments because that showed the inexperience. So you got Matt LaFleur is a relatively new head coach, but he takes over a team that's basically being run by the quarterback and the knowledge of the quarterback. So he doesn't have to worry about it. He can put the game plan together with the quarterback, say, here you go. Then you find this was the coaching mistake because he didn't have that quarterback. He didn't have that knowledge. He didn't have that guy. And he learned that, hey, things are drastically different from a guy that's a Hall of Famer and a guy that can decipher the matrix at the line of scrimmage versus a guy that can't. And that's where he first got his big lesson as a head coach, was probably in Kansas City when all of that happened. I completely agree with you. That was when I started reading that and I went, yeah, I think that was very obvious to everybody that you probably should have done a few things differently. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's good to hear him say it. Made me laugh. Right? A baseball story that I bookmarked today. Jesse Rogers wrote a story about the White Sox for ESPN. Came out this morning. And I think the White Sox probably up there with the Padres, Angels, maybe the Mets is one of the most disappointing teams the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. This is a quote from a source in the story. Quote, you have rookies sleeping in the bullpen during the game. You have guys missing meetings. You have guys missing practices, and there are no consequences for any of these things. So basically, a former player who was just traded, Kenyon Middleton, who was dealt to the Yankees, comes out and said, it's a mess. They don't know what's going on in the clubhouse. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's why the White Sox, who are really, really talented,
right?
Really, really talented, but they've been awful the last couple of years. And I bet that's a big reason why.
Yeah, it's the White Sox have been, one, like you said, a very much a disappointment. And secondly, it's you always have wondered who's actually, this goes to like a Jerry Jones scenario or a Daniel Snyder scenario. You wonder who's running things because Krause, is he the guy? Does he give his managers autonomy to just do what it is they do with the power of repercussions or not? And that was one of the things. I mean, Tony La Russa was supposed to come in and be that, be that disciplinarian guy. Ozzie Smith was a disciplinarian, but they snipped him because they said he was too hard on guys. And then Tony La Russa was supposed to be the guy with all the knowledge, and Tony La Russa was a train wreck because he was an arrogant mess, and they didn't like him to begin with. But this is the problem when you have an owner who's got his fingers in too many pieces of the pie. You just don't give your baseball people or football people or whatever the autonomy to just run the damn organization personnel-wise the way it should be run. And I don't have any pity or a care for the White Sox. I think they've got a lot of talent. I think at most they have not been good since Scott Podsednik was there, believe it or not. But when you look at all the problems and they started describing, this goes back to, remember when there was it was a while ago and there was an expose, and this was right before, and I can't remember the pitcher's name who ended up dying, unfortunately, in an alcohol-related death for the Cardinals. But this goes back to when there was drinking in the bullpen, drinking in clubhouses, and all the things that were going on. Go back to some of the things that were going on in Pittsburgh years ago. Go back to some of the things that were going on in Detroit years ago where guys just didn't give a damn and they had run amok. That seems to be where the White Sox are still today, which is unbelievable.
But this team's talented. They're supposed to be contending. Right. Like, I get it if some of the members of the Oakland Athletics are crushing beers in the bullpen. It's a 10-1 game. It's the 7th inning. Okay, yeah, it's probably not great, but who really cares? Who's it really hurting? The White Sox are supposed to contend. That's a really talented team. So I guess I wasn't totally shocked to read that today. 2 more quick things. One, Chris Thomason. Used to cover the Vikings. Now I guess he's covering the Broncos. Didn't know that. He was at the Pioneer Press. A quote from Sean Payton today. I'm just going to read you the tweet. He listed some things he didn't want to see in Friday's preseason opener, including players wearing, quote, Gilligan hats on the sidelines, which I'm assuming he means bucket hats, the big sun hats.
Right.
Sean Payton's out on that.
Yeah, it's too casual for Sean. You know what? Does it seem to me like Sean Payton has just had a lot of goofy missteps since, he was out of coaching. He was an analyst. He took liberty as an analyst. Some people didn't like some of the things he had to say. And it seems like he's still got that analytical side where he just kind of says what he wants. And which I appreciate. And if he was telling the truth about Nathaniel Hackett and people don't like it, well, then, the truth hurts, I guess. But it's like he's got his way of doing things. And this is either going to be something right out of the book of, hey, this guy took a team that was mishandled and misrepresented, and he's going to make it a reclamation project, or this is just going to be just yet another in a series of failures in Denver where they just haven't been able to kind of regain that form over the last few years since really Peyton Manning left. And it's, I like his candor. He's a weird dude, but now, man, I tell you what, in Denver, he's got a microscope on him. And remember down in New Orleans, for what he and Drew Brees did during Hurricane Katrina, they didn't take a lot of the things that he said and put it out there because they just didn't want to do anything to upset the apple cart because they were both so beloved for all that they did for the victims of Hurricane Katrina. It's not that way in Denver. Denver's there for a championship. They believe they're ready to fly. So I just keep looking at him thinking, man, what else is this guy going to do or say? And maybe it rubs off. Maybe the whole team suddenly falls into line and it becomes a really well-run football organization. But some of the things that come out of Sean Payton's mouth, you just kind of look at him and go, how long have you been away from the game? 1 year seems like an eternity, dude. So anyway.
I'm just dead at him saying Gilligan hats. Right. I think that's a reference that especially a lot of his younger players probably won't get.
Not unless you're watching rewatching reruns on Sundance or something like that.
Yes, Sundance, Me TV. Right. Lastly, I just wanted to ask you, did you go to Wall Drug on your way out to Sturgis?
Going to Wall Drug on the way home.
All right. As long as you hit it.
Yeah, right. It was pouring down rain when we were going through Wall. They were getting some storms, so we didn't. We decided not to stop, but we'll probably stop there for a little bit on the way back. But I've been there a few times, so it's kind of like, I mean, I like it. It's famous. It's awesome, but once you've walked through it, you've seen all the touristy things. It's kind of like, okay, it's cool to stop, maybe get your sticker to say I went there in whatever year it is, but after that, it's kind of like, okay, I want to get home. I want to watch the Packers play Cincinnati. I want to lay in my own bed. I want to take a shower in something bigger than a phone booth. And then I want to get up on Saturday and enjoy my day and unpack the RV and get back to life being normal again. So good stuff. And we'll be back at it again tomorrow. Chuck Freeman tomorrow, Mike Clemens tomorrow, Zach Heilprin tomorrow, the guys from Mama Tried tomorrow, Jesse James Dupree tomorrow, Danny Corco tomorrow. So we got all kinds of stuff happening here on the show tomorrow from live out here at Sturgis, South Dakota, Pappy Hoyle Campground, Full Throttle Saloon. Time for us to go. Have a go.